Stadium in St. Louis. The New York Mets play the St. Louis Cardinals. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Geico, the #1 insurer in the New York market. By Heineken, open your world. By Time Warner Cable, enjoy all the things you love better with Time Warner Cable. Call 1-855-WANT-TWC today. By Infinity, visit your local Infinity retailer for a test drive today. And by People's United Bank NA, see what know-how can do for you. A long road trip comes to an end by the banks of the Mississippi. St. Louis, Missouri, where the Mets have split a couple of games. Notice a little beer flavor in the air. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to St. Louis. I'm Gary Cohen. Ron Darling will join me in just a moment as the Mets play the rubber game of their three-game series against the St. Louis Cardinals. The Mets got here on Tuesday after an off day, having split 4 games in San Francisco, and things got off to a fast start in the first inning Tuesday night. Wilmer Flores, a 3-run homer right off the bat to give the Mets the early lead against Jaime Garcia and the Cardinals. John Neese took the mound for the Mets, hoping to parlay that lead, but he lasted just 4 batters, 2 walks, and a base hit later. Neese's knee acted up and he had to leave the game, and that led to the major league debut of Robert Gsellman, who fared just fine in long relief, 3 2/3 innings in his big league debut, and for his efforts, Gsellman wound up a winning pitcher and earned himself a start coming up. Meanwhile, Justin Ruggiano hit the longest home run of the year by a Met, over 460 feet, to help the Mets to a 7-4 victory in the opener of the series. Last night, a different story. Jacob deGrom took the mound for the second straight start. Did not have it. First batter he faced, Matt Carpenter, went deep. Every other Cardinal in the lineup had at least 2 hits as the Cardinals put together a 19-hit attack. deGrom has been straight for 25 hits over his last 2 starts as the hits just kept on coming. Randall Grichuk going deep for St. Louis. Not a good night at all for deGrom, and the Mets could do little against the Cardinals ace Carlos Martinez. He held them to just 4 hits over 8 innings in a sterling performance, and a lopsided Cardinal win 8-1 to even up the series at a game apiece. And so the Mets find themselves 4.5 behind the Cardinals in the National League wild card race, 4.5 behind the second spot. The Cardinals bearing down to the Giants for that #1 spot. And so, Ronnie, it's the last game of the road trip. Mets have gone 4-5. It's been a road trip filled with ups and downs.
You know, Gary, it's really hard for me to really fathom what's going on. You know, we've said it many times that this is a big series. This is a big road trip. But this Mets team continues to play .500 baseball. You can blame it on injuries. You can blame it on poor performance. But right now, when they should be really putting the pedal kind of to the metal, they've still been floundering.
And the injuries keep on coming. Jay Bruce, who tweaked his calf last night, out of the lineup tonight, hopes to play tomorrow night when the Mets get home to play the Phillies. Meanwhile, on the mound, Seth Lugo fills in for his second big league start. First one was impressive in San Francisco.
Well, I thought it was really impressive. 6 2/3, only threw 69 pitches. It was really nice to watch a guy go right after hitters, pitch to contact. He did a great job. Those runs were added on later by the relievers. He only gave up 1 while he was in there. They're looking, hopefully, for the same kind of performance tonight.
The Mets saw Adam Wainwright a month ago in New York, and Wainwright was doing okay until Yoenis Cespedes took him deep. But since that start, it's been a rough go for Wainwright.
It really has. You know, he had a shutout after the All-Star break, and since then his ERA is almost 7. It's really hard sometimes to watch one of the best pitchers of his generation try to make that transition from a kind of power pitcher, a 20-game winner, to a guy who's really just trying to fight for survival at times. But he's still got a good game in him.
Mets seeking a rubber game victory and a .500 road trip. When we come back to St. Louis, Steve Gelbs with Noah Syndergaard. That's coming up here on SNY. Baseball on SNY is brought to you by the Lincoln Summer Invitation Sales Event. Get exceptional limited time offers on a Lincoln of your choice. By StubHub, looking for great seats, head to StubHub, the official ticket marketplace of the New York Mets. And by Citi, proud partner of the New York Mets. Take advantage of a special Coca-Cola combo offer in select seating areas during all remaining Mets home games. Tickets start at just $19 and include a $10 food and beverage credit, so you can cheer on the Mets while enjoying your favorite Coca-Cola products. Tickets for this offer are only available at Mets.com/combo. Greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. Rich Hill finally made his debut for the Dodgers after the world's worst blister, and he was successful. Shut out the Giants for 6 innings in a 1-0 win. The Dodgers' 4th straight win. They now have a 3-game lead on San Francisco going into the final game of that series. The Cubs are now 36 games over 500 for the first time since 1945, which just happened to be the last time they were in the World Series. And Chris Bryant, a big reason he has been red hot. And Jose Fernandez, he's okay. Just tweaked his calf a little bit. 7 scoreless innings, 1 at home again. Miami beat Kansas City last night 3-0, and they added Jeff Francoeur, who is with the Marlins tonight as they get ready for their series finale. Noah Syndergaard's next start is against the Phillies Saturday night at Citi Field. He spent a few minutes earlier today with Steve Gelbs.
Noah, obviously a great start the other day in San Francisco. You spoke afterwards about just being relaxed, having some fun for the first time in a while. What's the key to maintaining that now for the rest of the season? And you had such a great start to the year. Why do you think you got away from that a little bit?
I've actually been reading this book called The Mindful Athlete that was given to us by our mental skills coach, Will Linsner. And it really spoke to me. It just kind of, I'd been having a tendency to think too far ahead in the future and too far ahead in the game. Like, oh, it's the 3rd inning. I got to at least try to get to the 6th. And I'd been struggling in high pitch counts and whatnot, instead of just kind of taking a step back and keeping things simple and just kind of being in the present moment.
It's interesting you mentioned thinking too far ahead and pitch counts. Is that something, with this day and age where because you're going to be capped out, that sometimes, you pitch to that pitch count instead of the situation?
I try to go out there and be as efficient as possible, trying to put the ball in play, try to get through as many batters as I can with my allotted time out there. But most recently, I'm just try to win each pitch as opposed to just kind of thinking ahead of what I need to do in the future.
You've been working on altering your times to the plate, and that worked really well in San Francisco. What is the type of work that you've put in, and how do you approach that side of the game at this point in the year?
It's really all about kind of getting outside of my comfort zone. And I think just the hard work I've had in my side work in between starts is really starting to pay off. Because I mean, Renee's back there. He's working his butt off trying to throw runners out, and it's my job to go out there and be quicker and give him a chance to throw out runners because he's got an absolute cannon behind the plate.
You say getting out of your comfort zone. How difficult of a transition is that to make between not wanting too much to split the focus on the pitch you're trying to accomplish, but at the same time knowing that that's something you need to do?
I've always been kind of timid to be a little quick towards home plate because I try to be just so mechanical and almost perfect with my mechanics. But as opposed to actually speeding things up, just kind of helped my mechanics out and just kind of kept the pace of the game going, and it helped control the running game. So I'm extremely thankful for that.
Is it important when you get positive rewards like you did in that game where you say that it helped speed up the game, but also you saw what happened when Nunez was on first base too?
Yeah, most definitely, because it can definitely change the pace of the game and definitely the momentum, because a lot of teams go out there and they know that I hadn't been running the running game very well, so they're going to try to take the most advantage of it. And once if I'm going out there and having my best stuff on the mound and I'm able to shut down the running game, then there's really not much they can do to score runs.
You have a couple of rookies in the starting rotation right now, and Gesellman and Lugo, who's starting tonight. What type of advice do you give those guys, being not that far removed from that situation yourself?
Just try not to forget that it's still the same game that we grew up playing and known to love. Just because you go from AAA to the big leagues, the only thing that really changes is the playing atmosphere. And it's a bigger stadium. It's a little bit louder, but it's still the same game. It's all really important to go out there and have fun with it.
Noah Syndergaard, great stuff. Try and stay cool tonight, all right?
Thanks, Steve.
Noah Syndergaard 2 days hence, he'll be on the mound. Tonight it's Seth Lugo facing the veteran Adam Wainwright. Mets and Cardinals. Wainwright's first pitch is coming right up. Sprinting to the mound, getting ready for his 26th start of the year for the Cardinals. Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. The Cardinals in general have played far better on the road than at home, and Wainwright's been the opposite. He's been great at home and not so good on the road.
Getting some good home cooked meals, obviously.
There's your Geico Mets starting lineup. No Jay Bruce, who came out of last night's game with a cramp in his calf, still feeling a little bit tight. Hopes to play tomorrow night when the Mets get home to play the Phillies. So Alejandro De Aza will get a start in center field, moving Curtis Granderson over to right. James Loney, who has owned Adam Wainwright, gets the cleanup spot.
Well, Adam Wainwright in his career, you see the Toyota numbers this year. They're not good. He got off to a slow start. Then he picked it up in the middle of the season, but his last 6 starts have not been good. That's why the ERA is close to 5.
He was in a great stretch before he faced the Mets in New York, and the Mets beat him or had a lead on him.
He really had a good game until the big bomb he gave up to Cespedes.
He wound up giving up 4 runs and 11 hits in 6 2/3. Jose Reyes takes a strike and we're underway, but was also noticeable and notable in that start for Wainwright as he threw 117 pitches, and he really hasn't been the same since. Reyes gets tied up but lays off a ball and a strike.
That home run to Cespedes, a rare 4th time up against Wainwright in that game.
In the 5 starts since, 0-2, 7.71, so it has not been easy lately for the 34-year-old. The other thing to think about is, remember that Wainwright missed almost all of last year. He got hurt in April, tore his Achilles, looked like he'd be out for the year, came back at the end of the season, few outings in the bullpen at the end of the regular season and the postseason, but he didn't pitch much last year. That curveball is ripped into right field, and Reyes has a leadoff base hit. So Wainwright got his signature curveball up to Reyes. Jose takes advantage for his 4th hit of the series, and the Mets have the first man on.
Running fastballs away, cutters in, and tried to put him away with that curveball. Boy, if that could have been the curveball thrown 10 years ago. Hanger by Wainwright.
You know the funny thing about that?
Yeah.
First of all, Wainwright made his major league debut against the Mets that September in 2006 before he faced them in the postseason.
Yeah, he had 10 saves down the stretch.
And he gave up a 3-run homer to Victor Diaz. First appearance in the major leagues. Remember Victor?
Number 5? Not 5. What number was he? Right-handed hitter?
Yeah, I don't remember what his number was, but he was a bit of a flash in the pan for the Mets.
Obviously not number 5
that season, right? But my point was, and then he had the great postseason against the Mets, and since then he has struggled more against the Mets than he has against any other franchise. His ERA against the Mets in the regular season is 5.17, his worst against any team.
So remarkable when you think about it, right? Wainwright has a good move to first base, considering he's a 6'7" athlete. He also has a balk move where he will kind of flick that front knee before he throws over. So Reyes has got to be ready for it.
Asdrubal Cabrera's had a terrific series so far, and he flies this one into shallow left center, and in comes Brandon Moss to call, and that's the first out of the night.
Well, defensively for the Cardinals, brought to you by Coors Light. Moss, Grichuk, Piscotty. The one thing I can say, not a lot of speed in the outfield. Peralta, Garcia, Jerko, and Carpenter. Carpenter's moved all over the infield this entire year. And of course, the strength is the guy that they have behind the plate, Yadier Molina.
Well, here is Cespedes, who ended Wainwright's day on a bad note the last time the Mets faced Wainwright. Cespedes hit a long 2-run homer that gave the Mets the lead, knocked Wainwright out of the game. Cespedes 2 for 8 in this series, 7 for 21 in the 5 games since he returned from the disabled list. Reyes at first and 1 out. And Wainwright works him up high, ball 1. Adam Wainwright, 34 years old, grew up in the islands off the coast of Georgia. Big Braves fan, got drafted by the Braves in 2000, traded to the Cardinals, for whom he has had a remarkable career. Ground ball to short, should be 2. Garcia to Jerko and on to first, and that gets Wainwright through the opening inning, the 21st ground ball double play he's generated. Seth Lugo takes the mound for the Mets when we come back. Not surprisingly, after a 19-hit output last night, Mike Matheny has the exact same starting 8 out there tonight.
Well, the 6 degrees of separation of Matt Harvey. Here's the Land Rover numbers. Harvey to Verrett to now Seth Lugo. Centenary College. One thing he's not got going for him is the Cardinals have done a good job against rookies. 12-6 against rookie starting pitchers this year.
Matt Carpenter led off last night's game with a home run for St. Louis, and he takes Lugo's first pitch off the plate for ball 1. Carpenter back in his familiar leadoff spot after a stint as the number 3 hitter after Matt Holliday went down, but looks like he'll be in that leadoff spot the rest of the way. Lugo was incredibly pitch efficient in his start against the Giants. 6 2/3 innings, 69 pitches, left in a tie game with a couple of runners on base. Both of them scored, and he wound up the losing pitcher, but he was very, very good that day. And gets the curveball in for a strike, 1 and 2.
For you older folks out there, that's Randy Jones kind of numbers. The left-hander used to routinely throw 85 pitches in a 9-inning effort.
But you know, Seth was honest about it after the game. He said, never in my life have I been that efficient. So we'll see if he can do it again. Fastball away, and it's 2 and 2. 95. He hit 96 on the gun once in that game Saturday, or Friday. So he's capable of that. And Carpenter fouls back the fastball. Jed Jerko on deck, and then Brandon Moss for the Cardinals, who've hit 177 home runs this year, the most in the National League. They've now homered in 13 straight games, which feels like a lot, except they had a 17-game streak of hitting home runs last month. And they've really spread it out. They've got 9 different guys with 10 or more home runs. And the curveball fouled off the leg of Carpenter, who does a nice job tapping it to himself. That's hard to do.
Unbelievable. Hits it, taps his toe, comes up, catches it with the bat, bounces into his hand.
I mean, with a tennis racket, that's really easy, but with a bat?
I don't know. These guys are talented, Gary. I don't know if you knew that.
Yes, I had a feeling.
You know, they're on a pace to hit 229 home runs, this Cardinals team. They could eclipse the 2000 team, which hit 235, and that had McGuire, Jim Edmonds, who's in the building here.
And Jim Edmonds working down the hall on Cardinal TV. Carpenter hits one deep to center field. Back goes De Aza onto the warning track, and leaping at the wall, he made the catch. Alejandro De Aza taking a home run away from Matt Carpenter. Beautifully done for the first out.
For a second there, I thought it bounced off the fence into his glove, but when he hit it, deepest part of the park, De Aza got back there. He plays very deep, and he did. He got over the fence and took that away. That would at least hit the top of the fence and bounced over.
Well, we saw Cespedes the other night take a home run away from Stephen Piscotty, and now De Aza robs Carpenter of a second straight leadoff home run. So a fortunate beginning to Lugo's night as he gets some help from his center fielder. Now Jed Jerko goes after a slider and misses.
Well, De Aza can make these catches because he plays incredibly deep. You know, there's this arch built here into the outfield in St. Louis, and he plays behind the arch. Very unusual.
Jerko yanks one on the ground. Nice play by Reyes. Sets himself and fires. Just got him. 2 out. Reyes still has that very strong arm, and he needed every bit of that to throw out Jerko for the second out.
He's had a couple of bounced throws to first base that he's really been picked up. The great part of this is see how much range he has to his left, and it was just a great pick by first baseman Loney.
So 2 fine defensive plays to start the night for the Mets.
We are so used to that ball just being a flat out hit all the time.
Now Reyes will move over to the right side of the infield as the Mets play a shift against Brandon Moss. Moss is 3 for 8 in this series. Moss leads the Cardinals with 23 home runs. Has the best home run ratio of any hitter in the National League. And he pulls one right into the shift. Flores is there to play it, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Seth Lugo, not without a little bit of agita. After one, no score. Lowest career ERA among active pitchers. It's minimum 100 starts. Otherwise, Jacob deGrom would be in that group. Yeah. James Loney leads off against Adam Wainwright, and we'll see what game plan Wainwright has against Loney, who is 16 for 31 in his career against Adam Wainwright, including a couple of hits against Wainwright in his first start against the Mets last month. And he nubs one foul, and it's 0-2.
You know, in my career, Tony Gwynn hit, I think, over 450 against me. And after about the first 50 at-bats, I'm not saying I didn't take it seriously, but I just figured he was going to get a hit. So we just, I kind of just threw it out there and hoped he hit it at someone. There's nothing you could do.
Now, what should have made you feel better is that he probably did that against a lot of guys.
John Smoltz and I always commiserate because I think he has the same numbers against John Smoltz. He just wear you out. I knew the day he hit a ball, I threw him a split finger. It bounced 3 feet before the plate. He cricketed it out to center field for a hit, and he got at first base and he put his head down not to look at me, and we could only laugh.
Probably felt like he was using a cricket bat at times. Loney drives one to right center field, and Grichuk will have to play it on a hop, and Loney has yet another mark against Adam Wainwright. Horses for courses, baby. James Loney just owns Adam Wainwright.
I mean, he threw him the right pitch. He came up and in with a cutter. The ball is in the right place. Might have bled a little over the middle of the plate. Nice job by James getting on top of it. And watch the reaction from Wainwright. Come on, you got to be kidding me. Again?
17 for 32. Unbelievable. So the Mets have a leadoff hit for the second straight inning, and now Curtis Granderson 0 for 4 in this series. And Curtis takes a strike. Terry Collins was asked for the umpteenth time tonight about Curtis Granderson and his lack of production, and Terry just doesn't have any answers left except to say that he's done it before, and the implication was that he hopes that the last 5 weeks can be the best of Curtis, because it just has not been there.
I do have to say that Curtis Granderson is one lucky guy that he has a manager in his corner like Terry Collins, because Terry really seems like every day he has to be apologetic for the year that Granderson is having.
20 home runs, 34 runs batted in. I don't care where you're hitting in the batting order. That's just, it's almost impossible to do. And the curveball drilled down the right field line. There's an extra base hit for Granderson. That'll send Loney to third. Granderson digs for second as Piscotty's throw comes in. And the Mets have second and third and nobody out. 20th double of the year for Granderson puts the Mets in business. So Loney and Granderson with back-to-back hits, both on 0-2 counts.
Well, that's the best way to quiet any critics. Hits a curveball, which was a pretty good pitch, on an 0-2 count now. So Wainwright has given up 2 hits, one to Reyes and one to Granderson on that signature curveball.
So now second and third and nobody out, and Wilmer Flores at the plate. A rare start recently against a right-hander for Wilmer, who's been tearing up lefties but struggling against righties. Kelly Johnson has struggled defensively the last couple of times he's played second base. And the other thing is, with Jay Bruce questionable in terms of his availability as a pinch hitter, Terry wanted a left-handed bat on the bench. Infield to play back for the Cardinals. So Flores with an opportunity here. Second and third, nobody out. And Wainwright catches the outside corner with a cutter. You see the splits on Flores, just remarkable in their disparity. And it's not like he's only had a few at bats against Ray. It's 165 at bats, plenty of opportunities to get it done. And he slices one foul, and again for the third straight batter, Wainwright gets ahead 0-2.
Well, maybe Wilmer has Wainwright exactly where he wants him. They're 3 for 3 with 2 strikes tonight out of the Mets.
Alejandro De Aza on deck. Loney at third, Granderson at second with nobody out, and now Molina needs conversation with Wainwright. I was going back and looking at Wainwright's career.
Yeah.
From 2009 to 2014. So that's 6 years, but he missed a full season because he had Tommy John. Missed all of 2011. So in the 5 years, 165 starts. That's 33 a year. So he never missed a start other than his Tommy John season. 92 wins, 50 losses, and a 2.83 ERA over those 5 seasons.
During that time, he was as good as anyone in the game. He led the league twice in innings pitched, 241 and 2/3 innings one year.
0-2 to Wilmer, and a good stop by Molina on a hop. And the thing about it is, for as great as he was during that 5-year stretch, never won the Cy Young, but finished in the top 3 4 times.
4 times, that's right. Won 20 games twice, won 19 games twice.
A true ace. And this is really a transitional year for him. And that curveball hit in the air to left field. Should be deep enough to get the run in. Moss is under it. Loney comes home. The throw is cut off, and the Mets have a 1-0 lead. So Flores drives in his 40th run of the year, gets it done against the right-hander, and the Mets cash the first run of the game.
Again, another curveball and another 2-strike productive at bat for the New York Mets. We know the numbers against right-handers from Wilmer, and just an outstanding job with the infield back. You got to either hit the ball on the ground or get it deep enough in the air, and an RBI.
Granderson held at second, 1 out in the inning, and now De Aza 0 for 3 in this series. Now the fastball inside, and that's the first pitch ball that Wainwright's thrown in this inning after getting ahead 3 times in a row on 0-2.
You know what I call Wainwright? I call him a tweener, Gary. CC Sabathia was one 5 or 6 years ago. What happens is they go from being the greatest of the greatest to their stuff comes back to the field. And once their stuff comes back to the field, they have to change their approach. And the tweener means he's in the middle right now of changing his approach.
Hit in the air deep down the right field line, but it's hooking. And it goes foul. Home run distance for De Aza, but foul. 2-1. Well, if you go back and look at the arc of Bartolo Colon's career, you find that transitional period where he was tweening, like you said.
Well, what happens for a lot of these pitchers is they end up being a jack of all trades, master of none, because they're trying to have so many pitches. You know how Colon does it? He only throws one pitch, and he has mastered that pitch.
But is it different for a guy like Wainwright, who always hung his hat on a great curveball?
Yeah. Well, hung his hat on a great curveball, hung his hat on dominating lineups.
Comes inside De Aza and falls behind 3-1. I mean, when he was throwing 95 with that great hook, he was almost untouchable. Yeah. Now he's throwing 90. You know, the cutter is a nice weapon for him, but he's still figuring it out.
It's a good weapon for him, but he's been using it now for 2 years, so that weapon is out, and hitters have seen it a lot.
And the curveball in for a strike. 3-2. Rene Rivera, the number 8 hitter, on deck.
But no mercy in this game. Mets need a series. They need this win, and if they got to beat up on a great one, that's what they got to do.
And left-hand hitters are 3 for 4 so far tonight against Wainwright. And he gets this left-hand hitter out by painting the inside corner against De Aza for the second out of the inning.
He missed 2 different times inside. That's why he got behind 3-1 and finally gets this call that Keith and I were mentioning in the first game of this series. That high strike called more and more often since the All-Star break.
Marty Foster, the home plate umpire tonight, punching out De Aza for a strikeout for Wainwright.
Marty Foster, the home plate umpire, when Tom Glavine won his 300th game in Wrigley Field.
Now Rene Rivera, the batter, and with the pitcher on deck, the Cardinals are going to intentionally walk him with first base open.
This is something that the time period you were talking about, Gary, would have never happened with Adam Wainwright. Because of his intelligence, they would have let him get Rivera out, or Rivera get himself out.
By the way, before the early to mid 1990s, this never happened with any pitcher.
That's right. I forgot about that.
It's something that I first saw when Jeff Torborg became the Mets manager. So that's 1992. I had never seen a major league manager walk the number 8 hitter with 2 out and first base open. The whole point was to get the 8 hitter out and have the pitcher lead off the next inning.
If I was facing the 8th place hitter in my day, I would get occasionally this from Mel Stottlemyre. He would yell, "Ronnie, Ronnie, Ronnie." I'd look at him and he would pretend swinging the bat, saying, "This guy can hit a little bit, so be careful."
Well, but I think what also happened is in the 1990s, as power increased in the game, 8 hitters became dangerous.
That's right.
Here's Seth Lugo looking for his first big league hit, 0 for 2. And he takes a strike.
Yeah, I didn't watch the game a lot then, but you were doing them, and 8th place hitters would routinely hit 15 to 20 home runs, right?
Sometimes hit opposite field home runs. Ball and a strike to Lugo, who had 4 hits in his minor league career, 4 for 35 with 1 professional run batted in. So now going for number 2. Granderson at second, Rivera at first with 2 out, with a run home here in the second. And that's off the plate, 2-1.
I don't know if he's got the right bat, though. His bat has all the marks on it are on the end of the bat. You would rather have the marks kind of just above the label in the happy area.
Question, is he using his bat?
See the marks? They're on the end of the bat.
But is it his bat or is it somebody else's?
Probably someone else's.
And he laces one to right center field. Grichuk going back and makes the grab. Now Lugo hit that ball hard. But Grichuk playing over toward right center in the right spot to end the inning. Mets get a run and lead 1-0 in the second.
This victory celebration turned out to be a farewell party, as the Cardinals were about to lose their young hitting star Stan Musial to a year of wartime service. By now, the roster was so depleted, the club took out an ad in the Sporting News in the hopes of finding qualified ball players.
By the way, the Cardinals did just fine during the war years.
Yeah, they did.
World Series champions in 1942 and 1944 without some of their stars. There's the great Stan Musial, who for many years held the National League record for base hits, 3,630, until he was eclipsed by Pete Rose.
One thing I always found amazing, same number at home as he did on the road, the hits.
And how about this? Same hometown as Ken Griffey Sr. and Jr., Donora, PA.
Really?
Who would have thought that?
Wow.
Stephen Piscotty leading off in the second against Seth Lugo, has been staked to a 1-0 lead. Piscotty's had a very impressive series, 4 for 10. Homered last night. Flares one foul. Loney giving chase. That's in the front row.
Well, Lexus Mets defense, Cespedes de Aza, because of the Bruce injury, and Granderson goes back to right field. In the infield, Wilmer gets a start at second base. James Loney's already picked one at first. Reyes was a great play at third base, and Asdrubal Cabrera. Go figure. He's been great in this series defensively. And Rene Rivera behind the plate.
Well, Lugo's gotten his share of defense already tonight. He's ahead on Piscotty 0-2. Fouls back the fastball.
Did you see that we showed a shot of someone wearing a Mutual jersey, and it was the powder blue jersey?
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it was.
The powder blues from the 80s?
Yes. And it had Mutual on it.
That's just
wrong. It's the guy right there in the red bill of the cap, and you can't really see it. There you can see it now.
Right there. How about that? It's kind of like, see it a lot in New York.
Yeah.
The folks who walk around in Yankees jerseys with the names on the back. It's like, what do you think?
It's like number 5. They got to put DiMaggio on the back.
Right.
Like you need to know that.
I mean,
yeah, I get it.
Something inherently not right about that. Yadier Molina on deck, and then Johnny Peralta for the Cardinals in the second. Piscotty lays off the breaking ball in the dirt, 2-2. There are the Cardinal uniforms through the years, including the powder blues that arrived and then fortunately disappeared.
Now, if Keith was here, he could walk you through all of this.
Well, he'd tell you about the birds on the bat and how for 1 year they took the birds on the bat off and everybody got upset, and so they put them back on the next year.
Folks, I apologize. I have no interest in the Cardinals or the uniforms. Yeah, when I played against them, they just used to run silly on me and made me go nuts. So.
Do you realize how angry Mets fans get when Keith starts talking about the Cardinals?
Really?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
They just don't want to hear it. I understand. And Piscotty goes down swinging on the fastball. First strikeout of the night for Lugo. He's retired the first 4.
A couple up fastballs that Piscotty has thrown. Sorry, that Lugo has thrown. This one by Piscotty. And just beats him. When Lugo first came up out of the bullpen, I thought he was, Logan Verrett, little 91, 92, little slider, hook, whatever. But he's shown a lot better fastball than I thought.
Here's Molina, whom the Mets have not been able to get out. Well, really ever. 320 lifetime batting average against the Mets is best against any team. The crushing home run in Game 7 in 2006, and he's 6 for 10 in this series.
He and Goldschmidt are hitting over 500 against the Mets this year.
Yeah, Goldschmidt in that series in Arizona, the start of this trip felt like he got a hit every time up.
That's it. I was watching those games at home, and every time he came up, he just looked so locked in.
That series in New York, too.
Yeah.
Lugo ahead 0-2 on Molina. And Yadier locks one into right for a base hit. Well, as James Loney is to Adam Wainwright, Yadier Molina is to the Mets. Doesn't matter which Met. First base runner for the Cardinals tonight.
You know, the Mets have gone through a series of this all season long on the 0-2 pitch hit. And the reason that it's happening is that they tend to, on 0-2, always want to go away with a pitch. They've got to change that up and occasionally go in off the plate. And they won't have that mistake happen.
Here's Johnny Peralta, 3 for 10 in this series. And Lugo finds the inside corner. Let me ask you this, and I actually talked to a couple of people about this over the last couple of weeks, because there has been a rash of hits on 0-2, and we've seen it already tonight from both pitchers. And I don't have the statistics to back it up, whether that's a game-wide phenomenon or it's just something we're seeing anecdotally. But do you think the fact that pitchers know that every pitch counts against their status in the game keeps them from, quote unquote, wasting pitches the way they're supposed to?
That's a great question, and I guess I couldn't answer it unless I pitched in today's game. But I would tend to think about that. That I would try to, if I got 0-2, to make sure that I erase that hitter in the next 2 pitches. That being said, I think the biggest detriment to pitchers pitching inside off the plate, in my day, I mean, you would sat someone down or move their feet or whatever. It's because they have all the armor and they won't get out of the way. So you could get to 0-2 and come inside, and the guy gets hit by a pitch and goes to first base. That would be the most irritating. And it must be irritating for today's pitcher.
Inside to Peralta, 1-2. I just wonder whether that, because we heard Noah Syndergaard talking before about trying to focus on hitter by hitter as opposed to the big picture. Can I get through the 6th? That kind of thing. Yeah. But you have to think that a pitcher who knows he's limited to whatever the number is that day, 95, 100, 110, has to have at least subconsciously in the back of his mind that if I throw 8 pitches to this guy, well, that may cost me, a third or 2/3 or a full inning at the end of my tenure in the game.
It's almost a disservice to what they've done to pitchers who have to worry about that within a ball game. That's something that, I mean, it's hard enough to get hitters out without thinking, boy, I better get him out in the next 2 pitches or I'm only going to last 5 innings.
Peralta goes down looking at the off-speed pitch, and that's the 2nd strikeout for Lugo.
I don't know exactly what that was. When it came out of his hand, I thought it was a changeup, but it was pretty hard.
So 2 out. Molina's still at first, and now Randall Grichuk. Grichuk has been hot, and maybe this is instructive for the Mets as they anticipate the impending return of Michael Conforto, probably September 1st. But Grichuk has been in the minor leagues twice this year. Since the last time he came up, he's played 11 games. He's hitting .325 with 5 home runs and 11 RBIs in those 11 games.
Well, Mike Matheny was asked. He said, why did you send Grichuk down? He said, oh, you had to. He's fallen in love with hitting the ball at the ballpark. Well, I said, did he learn anything down there? Not really. He still came back up, and he still hits the ball out of the ballpark.
He's just better at it.
Yeah.
But that's okay too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a fine line, right? We talk all the time about hitting approach and how there are a lot of guys in the game who are just focused on hitting home runs. But if you can hit 40 or 35 or even 30, maybe that's not a bad approach. It's the guys who can only hit 12 or 15 that maybe they should try a different way.
I just think that as an organization, and I think they're going to see this with Piscotty, the St. Louis Cardinals, I think you have to teach how to hit first. And I'm talking about hit for average and have an eye and be able to take pitches off the zone. All of those things first, and then the power will come.
Mets have an interesting case in the minor leagues in Dominic Smith.
Yes.
A guy who until very recently had not been hitting for much power at all. That's lined into left field, a base hit for Grichuk, and that'll go all the way back to the wall. Molina will lumber to third as Cespedes gets it in. It's a double for Grichuk, and the Cardinals have 2nd and 3rd and 2 out.
What you say last night about Grichuk? He has an amazing percentage of his hits are for extra bases, and that was a hanging breaking ball from Lugo and pulled down the line. And watch Cespedes, very smart, knows Molina's running, no reason to rush, just get it back into the infielder.
That's 40 of Grichuk's 72 hits now that have been for extra bases. So now the Mets have the same scenario that the Cardinals had, and like Mike Matheny, Terry Collins is going to walk the number 8 hitter. Problem here is that the guy on deck, Adam Wainwright, is very dangerous. You talk about percentage of extra base hits. Wainwright has 8 hits this year, every one of them for extra bases.
Right.
5 doubles, a triple, and 2 home runs.
11 RBI.
Which could be a little embarrassing for some position players who might not have that total.
Yeah.
So this will be a big out for Lugo to get his against his opposite number. Wainwright's a lifetime 196 hitter, and he's got 8 home runs in his career.
Remember, Mets pitched to Garcia last night. DeGrom, he gave up the base hit even though Granderson threw out the runner at home.
Right, that was in the 2nd inning last night with a runner at second base, and Garcia got on base 4 times last night, so I'm sure that informed the decision as well. So an early moment of truth for Seth Lugo as he faces Wainwright, who is hitting .308 with runners in scoring position this year. And a first pitch curveball off the plate for ball 1. When you look at the RBI leaders among pitchers, Wainwright first and everybody else tied for second. I mean, Bumgarner got 2 of those on 1 swing last week against DeGrom. Borderline strike for Lugo. He needed that. 1-1.
What happens right there as a pitcher, you go, Marty, that ball is down. You know that's down. Come on. And the umpire always says the same thing. That ball was right there. Strike 2.
Does a hitter like Wainwright ever say, you know, I'm 6'7". My knees are higher than most guys?
Now they'll have a little more discussion, because you got to play it careful. You got to really be like Philip Habib from the United Nations. You got to be, okay, I'm sorry I got on you on the low pitch, but I thought that was a little low. But okay, because you have to go out there at some point.
You got to get that call too. Or you ever say, well, if you give it to him, you got to give it to me too, right? Molina at third, Grichuk at second, Garcia at first with 2 out. And Wainwright takes a strike. 1-2.
I think that pitch from Lugo is a slider that is not sliding, and it's just spinning up there.
Molina faking down the line at third, and a fastball just off the plate. Normally it's the fast guys who fake down the line from third, but Molina figures, what the heck, young pitcher on the mound, maybe I can coax the ball.
Right.
Two coming, and he struck him out to end the inning. So Lugo finds his way through trouble, strikes out 3 in that 2nd inning as the Cardinals leave the bases loaded. Lugo takes care of Wainwright, keeps the Mets up 1-0 going to the 3rd. Live with the MLB.com and Bat app, which includes game day, live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com and Bat, the #1 app for live baseball, on your phone and tablet. Third inning in St. Louis, where all the seats are red and so are all the shirts of the patrons.
There they are. I will say, and I'm not getting on the St. Louis fans, I've been here on 12 o'clock games where there's 48,000 people. You know, this is one of the few series I've ever been to where every seat is not full.
Yeah, it's been relatively lightly attended. Now they've announced over 40,000 every game, and they have a long streak of crowds of 40,000 plus. But you're right, there have been more empty seats here than we're accustomed to seeing when the Mets come to town.
Maybe no one gets back from the baseball village. Maybe they just hang out there.
Jose Reyes leads off in the third, runs up as though to bunt, takes a curveball for a strike. Reyes had a 2-strike base hit to right field leading off the game, was erased on a double play. That's got a run in the second. Loney singled, Granderson doubled, Flores drove in the run with a sac fly. And another curveball has Reyes screwing himself into the ground, and it's 0-2.
Well, when Wainwright is right, the ball will be in the strike zone and then disappear. And that was a pitch there.
Watching the curveball where Reyes screwed himself in the ground, it called to mind. You know what Wainwright's Twitter handle is, right?
I don't.
At Uncle Charlie 50.
Uncle Charlie.
Or as they said when Dwight Gooden threw it, Lord Charles.
Lord Charles. He's that good.
Reyes pops it up. Easy for Peralta in the coaching box. 1 out. As Dribble Cabrera coming up, let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve.
Guys, as a switch hitter, we've seen as Dribble Cabrera is effective from both sides of the plate, but in very different ways. From the left side of the plate, Cabrera hits for some decent power, but not a very high average. From the right side of the plate, that power is not really there, but a pretty high average, above 300. Assistant hitting coach Pat Rustler said that it may have something to do with how he's pitched and what his strengths are as a hitter. From the right side, you're going to see many more pitches inside. That's something that Cabrera can handle. He can bring his hands in, but he's not going to hit those out of the ballpark, as opposed to from the left side where he sees more pitches on the outer half of the plate, and those are the pitches Cabrera can elevate.
He gets jammed here and dumps one into shallow right, and that falls for a base hit. It gets behind Piscotty, and Cabrera will wind up at second base. Good hustle by Cabrera as he dorked one into right and winds up on second.
Well, Steve, that's where the no power really came into play for Cabrera. Gets jammed by this cutter, and a late jump for Piscotty, and a play that he's got to block and keep in front of him. He did not. I mentioned this in the first game. I'll mention it in this game. Not a lot of speed in the outfield for the Cardinals. That's got to be a single and an error.
So far, they have not put an error on the board, which is, I mean, we've seen a couple of strange calls already in this series, and they are scoring that a double, Ronnie. That's horrendous. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Don't they do any vetting for these official scores? I mean, come on. It's a Major League Baseball game. You got to stop that ball.
I don't know about you, but someone told me once stats are kind of really important in baseball.
I've heard that, and they might affect player contracts and how much money they make and all that. I mean, I said that facetiously. I know that they do vet the official scores, but some of what we see around the league is just horrible. That hit they gave on that ball Kelly Johnson booted last night, that's grounded to short by Cespedes, and Garcia throws him out. I mean, Cabrera's happy, he gets another double.
Yeah,
it's his 4th double of the series. But you know, there's got to be an expectation that certain plays are going to be made, and that's a perfect example.
Well, I think what happens is that for you folks at home, when you're scoring a game, these are major league players. So what Piscotty has to do in that situation, once he realizes he can't catch it, he has to break it down and block it and keep it in front of him to keep Cabrera at first base. Since he didn't do that, that's an error on the play. He made an error in judgment, an error in not keeping it in front of him.
So Cabrera still at second with 2 on. Here's Loney, who extended his streak of ownership against Adam Wainwright with a base hit. He scored the Mets run in the second. Now 17 for 32 in his career against Wainwright. That's a .531 average, by the way.
It's interesting. Wainwright looked at Cabrera like, is he giving him signs? You get to a point where sometimes you start to make up pitches against guys like this who just hit, it seems, everything you throw up there.
We got an 0-2 pitch up to Loney the first time, and Loney lined it into center field. Goes after the first pitch cutter and fouls it off. Remember a young speedy player named Eric Yelding who came up in the early 90s?
Yeah, left-handed bat.
Yeah, it was with the Astros.
Good fielder.
He went 8 for 8 to start his career against Frank Viola.
Oh.
And it drove Frankie nuts. He couldn't get the guy out. And he got every manner of base hit. Loney pops one up. And Peralta should have room. And Wainwright finally retires Loney to end the inning. We go to the bottom of the third, still 1-0 New York. Preseason matchup against the Giants, plus all the latest from training camp on Jets Nation Inside Camp. New episode Sunday at 7, only on SNY. Seth Lugo had a 1-2-3 first inning, had to negotiate a couple of hits and a bases loaded situation in the second. Now second time through the batting order, Matt Carpenter nearly homered leading off the first inning. Carpenter hit one right to the top of the center field fence that Alejandro Diaz had leapt for and managed to gather in after last night opening the game with a home run against Jacob deGrom. And Carpenter with the left side of the infield open, running up to bunt, and that's what these left-hand hitters who try and bunt are missing, right?
Yes. They're out of their element. So he's running up and he's trying to really push it. Because it's not really bunting the ball. What you're doing is you're just trying to push the ball hard to the left side of the infield.
But you can square and do that and still have plenty of time, because nobody's going to field it if you bunt it correctly. And the curveball right back to Lugo. And he retires Carpenter, one away. I think that at some point there's going to be the right kind of teaching to these left-hand hitters about how to execute that, and they'll have more success with it. Just square bunted hard to the left side and you can walk to first base.
Just what we need. Another coach on the airplane. Beautiful.
Well, maybe somebody could double up. Here's Jed Jerko. Jerko was retired on fine plays by Reyes and Loney in the first inning. Reyes ranging far to his left and Loney scooping a throw out of the dirt. Jerko 2 for 9 in this series.
What we need is a guy who really is good at stretching, has 22-inch arms, and is very good at bunting the ball to the left side. That's the guy. Knows it all.
Lay him down, Ziggy. Good curveball by Lugo, 1-2. You know that baseball story. Lay him down, Ziggy. About little guy, all he could do was bunt. He bunted one right into the pitcher's shirt and wound up with an inside the park home run. In the air down the right field line, and that slices away foul. Road Ahead is presented by GMC. Mets get home in the wee hours and then go to work at home tomorrow night against the Phillies. 3 with Philadelphia, 4 with Miami, and then 3 with Washington on the upcoming 10-game homestand. Jerko asks for time, a little late, gets it from Marty Foster.
He's getting it from Marty Foster too, because he said he waved to Marty like, I'm getting out, like there's time. Watch, he just says, hey, I'm getting out of here. So here's that. You can't do that.
Lugo was already in his windup.
Exactly. Tired. What you have to do, folks, is you just say to the umpire while you're in the batting position, I need time. Can I have time? And if he gives it to you, then you step out. But until then, you have to stay in there just in case he doesn't.
And that fastball in there for strike 3 call. Maybe you should have called time before that one. 4th strikeout for Lugo, 2 out in the inning.
He probably did, and he didn't get it. Good fastball by Lugo, and right on the knees.
He's gotten that call at the knees a couple of times.
You know what? I called it a fastball. It's not. It's a changeup. That's the circle grip changeup. He just throws it a lot harder than most right-handers.
So 2 out now. Brandon Moss, who grounded into the shift his first time up, and he takes a fastball for a strike. Kansas City's gone in front of Miami 2-0 in the 4th. Alcides Escobar homered. Don't know if it was inside the park. Don't know who was playing center field.
I don't know if there was a deflection.
Don't know if he was ready for the pitch.
Tommy Kohler pitching that game from Miami. Boy, he's been a lifesaver for that rotation, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's had a great stretch the last 2 months after an awful first half. 2-1 to Moss. The Nats try to salvage one from the Orioles, who've taken the first 3 of that Beltway series. Nats leading 1-0 after 4 on a Jason Worth home run. That's Ubaldo Jimenez for the Orioles taking Chris Tillman's spot.
The Baltimore Orioles, when Tillman has started this year 26 times, they're 20-6 in his starts.
They don't have any other starter other than Tillman with more than 7 wins. And yet they're right there. Full count to Moss.
It makes you feel as though, especially if Baltimore could get in the post, that Showalter is the manager of the year.
Say he's got a leg up.
Yeah.
Whether they make it or not. Swing and a miss, and Lugo with a slider strikes out Moss. So back-to-back strikeouts for Lugo. He's got 5 in the first 3 innings. And a 1-0 Met lead going to the 4th. Fourth inning, 1-0 New York. Curtis Granderson leads off against Adam Wainwright. Granderson doubled down the right field line his first time up. And he tries to push a bunt, and he runs up rather than squaring.
I mean, really what you need to do is square around, stay still, because what happens is when you run up, your head moves, and if your head moves, the ball is going to move, and it's going to make it more difficult to square it.
The guys who can run up and drop that bunt are the guys who practice it every day. Juan Pierre was the master at that. Right? Brett Butler could do that. But if you're not a guy who bunts all the time, and
you know who stopped doing it, who was really great at it? Anthony Rizzo.
Right.
He stopped doing it, but he had half dozen 2 years ago.
You know who did it a bunch before he retired was Carlos Pena. He would bunt against the shift. 1-2 to Curtis, and he lines one right to the shortstop, and it goes off the glove of Peralta, the third baseman playing over at short, and Granderson's aboard. It's like an easy play for Peralta, but he botched it, so I'm sure it'll be a hit. Everything's a hit.
Well, hit right on the nose by Granderson, but you know, it was just a, you know, hard for me to even say, it's just kind of a lazy play by Peralta. All he had to do was really move to his left, and he would have been able to play that not in the middle of his body, but at least more in front of him.
Well, you'll be happy to know that the official score at Busch Stadium has finally found a play that qualifies as an error.
And to all guys, Curtis, who need some knocks.
Well. So the Mets got a leadoff base runner, and Wilmer Flores the batter. Flores drove in the game's only run with a sacrifice fly in the second.
Now, how do you mark that? That's E5 on the 6th hole.
It's E5.
Where the shortstop position?
E5-6.
Okay.
E5, I don't know. It's getting so complicated. You know, it's really rendered moot just about every fielding statistic, you know, as it's existed for the last 150 years. Maybe different with the newer fielding metrics. The guys are playing completely out of the position as it's been defined for the eternity of the game.
Well, I remember, you know, if I pitched a good game and I got in, I could tell you right away, boy, I had 6 or 7 ground balls to second base. That was a good thing, you know. It meant that the hitter was rolling over pitches on the outside corner.
Now maybe some of those ground balls to the third baseman would have been on the right side of the infield. 2-1 to Flores. With Granderson at first and nobody on. Wilmer takes it on the outside corner. He didn't think so. And now it's 2-2.
See a lot of complaints so far from both sides. Cutter outside. A little difficult to tell from this angle. We're a little on the side, so I think it was high enough. I don't know if it was on the corner.
Alejandro De Aza on deck. And Flores flies one foul. It'll go out of play. Fourth inning brought to you by the 2017 Audi A4 and your tri-state Audi dealers.
It's pretty cool, the blimp right next to the arch.
Almost looks like it's painted there.
Yeah.
Except that it's moving.
There's folks. You can go to the top of the arch and check things out.
Although I'd warn you, if you're claustrophobic at all, don't do it. It's a little tight. Flores loops one foul. Beautiful arch designed by Eero Saarinen, right?
I'm so glad you got that right.
Well, we tried to get it right for a second straight night tonight after blowing it completely in the first game.
I think I've honestly blown it for about only 11 years since I've been doing this job.
Well, you know what the good thing about that is? Because for the first 10 years, nobody called. So now there must be more people watching.
Okay, well, that's a good thing. I better make sure I don't make any more mistakes.
Seventh pitch of the at bat coming to Flores, and he rips one down the left field line. Granderson around second will head to third as Moss cuts it off. Flores into second base with a double, and the Mets have second and third and nobody out. So Wilmer Flores getting a rare start against a right-hander. He's come through with a sac fly and now his 10th double of the year.
Wainwright's pitches have been up so far. That's supposed to be a cutter on the knees down, right over the middle of the plate, and Wilmer jumped all over it.
So for the second time tonight, the Mets have second and third and nobody out. And this time the Cardinals look like they're going to bring the infield in. Down 1-0. It's a little surprising to you, Ron?
It is surprising to me. You don't want that big inning. You take it out if you have to. 2-0 with a team that hits a lot of home runs is something you can come back from.
And then the Mets have a rookie pitcher on the mound making his second start. Now the shortstop Garcia backs up right before the pitch. Everybody else stayed in. But you would think that if you're Mike Matheny, you'd be okay with conceding a run here. You're facing Seth Lugo. You don't know how deep he's going to go into the game.
Yeah, and it's going to be a bullpen kind of effort. Now the middle infielder's at least backed up. You know why? Because he's behind 1-0.
De Aza took a call third strike his first time up, so now they'll concede a run on a ground ball to a middle infielder. And De Aza lines a base hit, and that might bring in two. Granderson is in. Flores right behind him. He'll score without a throw. A 2-run single for Alejandro De Aza, and the Mets have a 3-0 lead.
Boy, Bruce out of the lineup, so that means De Aza gets the start, and he has a big base hit. Started with a big error by Peralta at shortstop. Nice swing here by De Aza. He always chokes up on the bat. He's not trying to hit the ball at the ballpark, just make contact there. And great read by Wilmer, by the way, because Wilmer is challenged as far as how fast he can run. Great read, made it an easy decision for Tim Teufel.
So the Mets now with a 3-0 lead, and Rene Rivera at the plate. He was intentionally walked his first time up. Still nobody out in the inning with De Aza at first. And Rivera hits a double play ball right at Jerko. And Garcia with the turn. The Cardinals turn their second double play of the night. 4-6-3. 2 out and nobody on. Well, Carlos Martinez, who started last night, leads the National League in generating ground ball double plays. Wainwright's third. He now has 22.
And Martinez is what, 27 after last night?
Right. Well, the Cardinals are challenged defensively. I don't think there's any question about that. And it's an interesting juxtaposition, right? As Lugo steps in. When you've got a staff with guys like Martinez and Wainwright who are good at generating ground balls, but you've got a defense that really is not anywhere near the best in the league.
This team always seems to find a way. They were without Wainwright almost all of last year. They won 100 games. Michael Walker is not pitching right now. He's one of their great prospects. Lance Lynn is now in rehabilitation, getting ready to pitch soon.
Last year's closer Trevor Rosenthal was awful and then got hurt.
They signed out of nowhere, and he's one of the best in the game.
Well, he's the final boss.
Yes, he is.
Everybody should have known. 3-1 now to Lugo.
So last year they do it with pitching and defense. They've changed some personnel, and now they're doing it with the home run.
And Lugo lines a base hit. Seth Lugo with his first major league hit, a bullet to center field. Second time he's hit the ball hard tonight, and now he's got a souvenir.
He's not going to overtake Robert Parrish as the best alumni from Centenary College, but he's trying. Good swing there by Lugo.
Well, if they could find McHale to play with him.
There you go.
So the Mets with their third hit of the inning and their seventh of the night against Wainwright. No action as yet in the Cardinal bullpen. Remember in the opening game of the series, Jaime Garcia was taking it on the chin early, and the Cardinals waited a long time before they got anybody up. There's Reyes, and he takes a strike.
They're giving Lugo second base. I don't know what kind of speed he has, but Carpenter's all the way back.
If you'll remember the rundown play that he got into in San Francisco when he got tagged out between third and home, I don't think that's the biggest part of his game.
That's not his strength.
Or as Terry Collins told him, remember he kind of ran through the stop sign because his head was down, and then Reyes crept up behind him, and Terry said if it ever happens again, just go back to third base and let Reyes take care of being in the rundown.
That's funny. That's funny.
1-2 now to Jose.
You know what I think we're going to see in the next week, Gary? We're going to see all of these teams that the Mets are chasing. We're seeing the Cardinals right now. You're going to see the Miami Marlins. You're going to see the Nationals, who you're not really chasing right now. But you're going to see the Marlins and the Cardinals, and you realize they have got a lot of warts also. They've got a lot of injuries also. They're not a cohesive unit that's going to rattle off, 9, 10, 11 straight.
Well, you look at the division leaders in the National League, take them out of the equation, and everybody else no more than 10 games over 500, and it's for a reason.
Yep.
Too high to Reyes, a full count. A lot of injuries around baseball, not just the Mets, but all these teams have had their significant share. I mean, the Cardinals are playing without 3 of their starting everyday players right now. The Marlins are without Stanton and Bohr. It's going to be a very interesting last few weeks, and the Mets certainly have a favorable schedule. Lugo will run. The 3-2 to Reyes is blooped foul. Can Peralta get there? He can. And that retires the side. Second time in a row Reyes is fouled out to third, but the Mets cash a couple on Diaz's base hit and lead at 3-0 in the fourth. Mets insider Nimmo, Conforto, Reynolds, Kelly, Rivera. Get an inside look at the players who've become frequent flyers on the Vegas shuttle. What about Lugo? Mets insider presented by WB Mason, Sunday at 4:30 only on SM.
Yeah, he's already been on the shuttle. I was honestly asked to talk about those guys that are on the shuttle. I said no, because I've never been on a shuttle. I wouldn't know the first thing about it.
There's your Verizon trivia question. Oh, come on. Come on. Really?
He just recently got a 2-year contract.
Every Met fan knows the answer.
He does? Okay.
I think so.
All right, good.
Anybody who's been a Met fan since 2012.
I remember 2 things about that game. The ball that was foul, that was fair.
And you know who the third, if they asked who the third base umpire was, maybe that would be a better question.
Adrian Foster.
Adrian Johnson.
No, Adrian Johnson,
yeah.
sorry. And then Mike Baxter.
Baxter's catch. And the last batter.
Of course.
Struck out in the changeup. Stephen Piscotty leads off in the home fourth inning.
I mentioned that Marty Foster was the home plate umpire for Glavin's 300th game.
Right.
You got asked who the home plate umpire was for Santana's no-hitter.
See, that's interesting, as that one clocks the home plate umpire, Marty Foster, on cue. I don't remember who the home plate umpire was for Santana. Do you?
Yes, I do. Gary Cedarstrom.
See, I wouldn't have known that. So, but Adrian Johnson.
Yes, we do. Forever.
Because he made the controversial
Why
call.
did I say Adrian Foster? Is he a football player?
I think you had Marty Foster on the
Marty
break.
Foster. Jeez, what a loser.
Waiting to make sure that everybody's okay after that foul ball. Piscotty struck out his first time up. 1 of 5 for Lugo over the first 3 innings. And the curveball misses outside. That curveball seems like it takes a really long time to get to home plate. Slower than the 76 it says on the gun. Maybe it's because he has such a long arm action.
He does have an extremely long arm action, and I think that's part of his deception, to tell you the truth, although he didn't do much deceiving in AAA this year.
Here's a strike. Piscotty didn't think so. Well, his numbers in Las Vegas were not good as you look at the motion of Lugo.
Watch how far he reaches back with his arm. I mean, he really looks like he's going to, we just saw the Olympics throw the javelin when he lets that ball go.
3-2 coming. And it's inside ball 4, so a leadoff walk to Piscotty. Second walk issued by Lugo. The first one was intentional. Going back to his numbers at Vegas, he made 14 starts and did not fare well as a starter. They put him in the bullpen, and he actually did better as a reliever. Made 7 relief appearances for Vegas, but the overall number is 3 and 4, 6.50.
Yeah, it's almost like they put him in the bullpen because the Mets thought they might have a need for him out of the bullpen, and they did right away almost.
And he made 9 relief outings before his first start last week. Here's Molina, who had a single to right his first time and attacks the first pitch fastball. 0-1. It's funny about Lugo, though, because he was a 34th round draft pick. Why was he a 34th round draft pick? Well, his last year at Centenary, he was 3-7 with a 5.57 ERA.
That's like Bobby Parnell numbers in college.
Exactly. Bobby was at Charleston Southern. Bobby, who, by the way, just got released by the Tigers. I hope somebody else will give him a shot. But so this is a guy who's had to fight uphill his entire career, and then he comes out of college and he has this horrible back surgery. 10 hours of lumbar fusion surgery.
Like spinal fusion surgery, right?
Flattened his back for 3 months before he can ever get his career going.
Tells you a little bit about his toughness, doesn't it?
So, he might, who knows? I mean, it's only the second start he's made in the big leagues, but he might have more success at this level than he's had anywhere else.
Sometimes it happens like that. Because when you're in the minor leagues and you're 34th round pick, nobody, I'm talking about the managers, coaches, everybody, no one pays attention to you.
Slowly hit, can they turn 2? Cabrera to second, Flores to first, double play, 2 men down. Against Molina, routine, 6-4-3.
Well, it's a nice pitch by Lugo because he jammed Molina. And that's something that the Mets pitchers haven't done against the Cardinals, especially last night when they had 19 hits. And boy, Cabrera, I don't know if I've ever seen him make a bad throw to second base. Piece of cake for Wilmer to turn it.
So 2 out and nobody on, and now Peralta, who took a call third strike his first time.
Now, what I was trying to say, folks, is that when you're a 34th round pick in the minor leagues, no one cares about you. You're on the team, but no one thinks of you as someone who's going to help the big league club. But once you make the big league club, all they care about is results. And if you produce the results, they forget that you were a 34th round pick. They love you because you can help the ball club.
And when you say they don't care about you, that manifests itself in you don't necessarily get regular work, and you don't necessarily get all the attention that the first and second round picks are getting.
If you think you're going to be, you should be a starter, there might be a guy who's taking gas every fifth day, who's brutal in front of you, but he's a prospect and he's going to get the starts, and you're not going to get him, and you just have to wait for your chance, and when it's your chance, you got to be great. But as we mentioned, his overall numbers weren't great, but he did get here.
Out to center field, chasing Diaz, back to the warning track. He's there to make the catch and retire Peralta to end the inning. So Lugo works around a leadoff walk, 4 scoreless innings. We head to the 5th. Mets with a 3-0 lead in the rubber game in St. Louis. Mets with a 3-0 lead, as Drupal Cabrera will lead off against Adam Wainwright in the 5th. Cabrera hit a pop fly into right field that fell and then got behind Stephen Piscotty for what was scored a double, the 4th double in the series for Cabrera, who's gone 5 for 10 in the 3 games. And he takes curveball for a strike. When Cabrera went down with his knee injury that cost him 3 weeks, he was not in a particularly good offensive group, but he has really come back strong since his return. With his 1 for 2 tonight, he's now 8 for 21 in the 6 games since coming off the DL. It's been a rough go so far for Wainwright tonight. Cabrera lifts one to left center. Brandon Moss drifting, and just barely stays with it. Brandon Moss, not what you call a gifted outfielder. And again, the guy who's replacing isn't either, but you know, it's one of the best hitters in the game. Get to Citi Field this Friday, August 26th, for Free Shirt Friday, when the Mets play the Phillies at 7:10. All fans in attendance will receive a Yoenis Cespedes t-shirt courtesy of United Healthcare. That's not Yoenis Healthcare, it's United Healthcare. For tickets, visit Mets.com/FreeShirtFriday. And coincidentally enough, Yoenis Cespedes is walking to the plate.
He's got enough money. He might be able to start his own healthcare system.
No doubt. First pitch curveball misses for ball 1. Speaking of the Phillies coming in this weekend, they made a fascinating trade this afternoon, trading veteran catchers with the Dodgers. A.J. Ellis, who has been Clayton Kershaw's personal catcher and is, one of the most respected players in the game, traded from the Dodgers to the Phillies for Carlos Ruiz, who has been a mainstay for the Phillies for the last decade. There was a minor league pitcher going one way, some cash going the other way, but that's a fascinating deal, Ronnie.
It really is, because Ellis is the personal catcher of Clayton Kershaw. And I don't know if Clayton Kershaw is going to be able to come back this year, but if he does, maybe Carlos Ruiz has to take over that spot. Now Ruiz, remember, he's caught a lot of great pitchers from Roy Halladay and Cliff Lee and Cole Hamels, so he'll get the job done. But A.J. Ellis has been such a big part of that ball club. It's hard to describe. He's just such a good person, but he's always helping younger players out, and they're on such a roll that you hate to mix that up.
Yeah, he's a glue guy.
Yeah,
is the best way to put it, other than being Kershaw's catcher. Big cut by Cespedes, and it's 3-2. And you know, both guys are veterans, and Ruiz is 37, Ellis is 35. They're both on close to the last legs of their career, and I understand why the Dodgers did it. They did it because they needed a little better bat, particularly against left-hand pitching. And Ruiz at this point in his career is still a better hitter than Ellis. Cespedes golfs one foul, but it's so weird for a team that's sitting in first place to disrupt their chemistry like that, particularly with a catcher this late in the season.
Yeah, I totally agree. If Kershaw does not come back, the importance is mitigated a little bit as far as Ruiz coming over, because I do think he's a better at bat than Ellis is. I wouldn't say he's much better catcher than Ellis is anymore. If you asked me 5 years ago, I would have said yes.
Another foul ball. Well, you know, they're both
older.
Right. They're both at that point in their careers where they're not quite as mobile behind the plate as they used to be. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I know a lot of the Dodger people cover the Dodgers. Their initial reaction was, what the heck are the Dodgers doing?
Yeah.
But here's another quirky thing. Tyler Kepner pointed this out, the great baseball columnist for the Times. You know, the Dodgers are run by Andrew Friedman, who in his previous job, that's too high, ball 4, and Cespedes is on, was the general manager of the Tampa Bay Rays, who lost to the Phillies in the 2008 World Series. The Dodgers now have 3 members of that 2008 Phillies team that the Rays lost to in the World Series on their team.
Andrew, get over it. It's 8 years ago. But no, I understand. They want the winning atmosphere
they've got
players.
Chase Utley,
yeah,
Joe Blanton, and now Carlos Ruiz.
That was interesting. Last night, the manager of the Dodgers left Joe Blanton in to face Brandon Crawford. He hung a curveball, and it just stayed in the ballpark.
Yeah, right to the fence.
When you're going good, things go your way.
Loney carves one to shallow left. That might fall in, and it does. Another hit for Loney against Wainwright. Cespedes trying for third. Wainwright covering, and he's safe. And now Loney walking off first, thinking that Wainwright might not be paying attention. So Loney gets another hit against Wainwright. This one a fortunate one, and Cespedes very aggressively going first to third.
He did a good job. Marty Foster, the home plate umpire who had to replace the third base umpire, never got in proper position to make this call. Moss with the throw on the run, Wainwright covering with the tag, and you don't see the umpire anywhere in the picture.
Now Mike Matheny is walking out. I think he's considering challenging the call. It's going to be a tough one to overturn, considering Wainwright lost his glove as he tried to make the tag. I mean, the glove has to stay on your hand while you make the tag.
It seemed like it stayed on, but it did come off. I wonder if it stayed on long enough. Let's take a look, Garrett. That was a nice athletic play by Moss to get it in on one hop, and a nice play by Wainwright to get there. Now he throws the tag down. Boy, he looks out there.
But the glove comes off as he makes the tag. I don't think that's a legal tag, Ronnie.
It's not a legal tag if the glove comes off.
And I think that might be what Matheny is asking, is whether he was ruled safe because they thought he beat the play, or if he was ruled safe because the glove came off. And he's asked the umpires to talk about it before he decides whether to challenge.
And you know what's interesting, Gary, is that if you watched Marty Foster, who didn't get all the way out there, his call was very late, like, I'm calling him safe because the glove is not on the hand of Wainwright.
This is fascinating.
It is.
I'm not sure I've ever seen a play exactly like that, where the glove comes off the player of the hand of the player who's making a tag like that. And now Marty Foster comes over to Matheny and gives him the explanation of the call.
I mean, if he tells them that he called him safe because the glove came off his hand, there's really nothing Matheny can do. But if he says he called him safe because he beat the play, you can challenge it.
Well, he is challenging it.
Okay.
So we'll see how this works out. Now, I'm not entirely convinced that he was out even if the glove stays on the hand. He was pretty close.
I think he was out. I think he was out with the tag by Wainwright. But, again, he was not able to hold the glove on his hand.
Well, I guess that part of the play is challengeable, and maybe that's what Mike wanted to know more as much as anything else is, can you challenge that part of the call, whether the glove stayed on the hand long enough for it to be a legal tag. Play under review brought to you by Mazda. It's such a strange play.
You know that this past season they've changed the rule that the tag cannot be used if it touches the laces of the glove. But this certainly, to me, looked like Cespedes slid right into the glove, and that's why it knocked it off the hand of Wainwright.
I don't know how they're going to parse this, Ronnie. I really don't.
Watch, Gary. See if he slides into the glove.
Yeah, but I'm also not 100% sure that he's out.
I'm not 100% sure either.
Now he's stepping on the glove and the base at the same time, and that pulls the glove off Wainwright's hand. And obviously, it wasn't intentional on Cespedes' part. Well, this is going to be a tough nut to crack. The two crews that are in Chelsea in the bunker are Dana DeMuth's crew and Jerry Lane's crew, and they're going to have to go over this with a fine-tooth comb, and I have no idea what they're going to decide or how they're going to decide
and what they're deciding about.
Right.
This would not surprise me if they rule in favor of the Cardinals.
Well,
that Terry call a forfeit.
They're making a quick call, and they uphold it. Now, on what basis they did, we should find out at some point.
Okay, good.
Not necessarily, but they usually let us know something about at least what it was that they were reviewing. And we'll try and find out about that. But in any event, it's a huge call because had he been out, the Mets would have a runner at first and 2 out. Now they have first and third and 1 out, and Wainwright in a big pickle here in the 5th inning, already down 3-0.
And by the way, Loney with another hit.
Unbelievable. 2 for 3 tonight, 18 for 34 now against Wainwright. So here's Granderson, who already has a double and has reached on an error. He's scored a run tonight. First and third and 1 out. And Granderson takes a strike.
That's a huge run for the Mets to get in.
Well, you know the numbers with Granderson. He's hitting .123 this year with runners in scoring position. 20 home runs, only 34 runs batted in. And you know what Wainwright wants. He wants a third double play ball of the night. Cutter misses inside, a ball and a strike. Well, good hustle by Cespedes. Yeah, that ball was what, 60 feet away from third base when Moss picked it up, and Cespedes able to turn it on and get into third.
Tells us a little bit about how his leg is feeling too, Gary.
It's been hit and miss though.
Yeah.
I mean, he can push it when he needs to, it seems. Doesn't mean it's feeling 100%.
I think he's realized that he's just going to play flat out for as long as he can.
1-2 to Granderson with Flores on deck, and Curtis takes low and in. 2-2.
Once he read that it was in, I don't think there's anyone who has the ability to change speeds as much as Cespedes does.
Tremendous acceleration. 2-2 coming, and Granderson goes down on the curveball, and that's the second out. Another frustrating at bat in an RBI situation for Curtis Granderson.
Well, the pitch before was a strike, and it wasn't called by Foster, so he ends up just bouncing the curveball right on the plate. Good block by Molina, and they need some 2-out lightning for the Mets.
Second strikeout of the night for Wainwright, so it's left to Flores, who had a sac fly in the second for the Mets' first run and then doubled and scored in the fourth. And it's up and into Wilmer, ball 1. So two guys who don't normally play in this spot. Flores, who doesn't normally play against right-handers, productive tonight. De Aza on deck, playing because Jay Bruce is out of the lineup, and he had a big 2-run hit. And Flores takes up and in. 2-0. That's with 3 runs and 8 hits against Wainwright. Still no action in the Cardinal bullpen. Mike Matheny pushing his starter to go as deep as he can, even on a night when he is not at the top of his game, and he has not often been at the top of his game the last month. 2-0 to Wilmer, and the curveball bends in for a strike. It's a great weapon to have, right?
It's just a floater. You just throw it right in there, and the hitter can't react to it because he's not supposed to be looking for a curveball 2-0. So it's almost like you get it because the hitter can't look for it. If you were looking for it, he'd probably crush it.
And Wilmer shoots one foul, and it's 2-2.
This is one of those points in the game where if Wilmer can get a hit to deliver the run, it deflates the entire Cardinals team. But if Wainwright's able to get out of this, it might inspire their offense. It's a real momentum swinger.
First and third and 2 out, and Wilmer taps one toward the middle. Garcia's there, but he boots it, and a run comes home, and it's 4-0 New York. Now the Cardinals' dreadful defense has jumped up and bit them again tonight. An error in the 4th inning cost them a run, and now an error in the 5th inning on a routine play.
That's the reason why they're not having a better year. This is a play that's got to be made. Played it into an in-between hop. Just not good hands. Ball rolled right up his arm, hit the heel of his glove. And that's a professional reaction from a professional pitcher, because I know what his reaction would like to be.
Well, Cespedes taking the extra base enables the Mets to score a run on that play. Well, 2 errors charged to the Cardinals tonight. It really should be 3. Here's De Aza, who cashed 2 runs with a base hit his last time up. So Wainwright in the 5th inning about to throw his 90th pitch. He's had 2 errors by the left side of his infield in the last 2 innings that have cost him a couple of runs and a lot of pitches. That's drilled to deep right field. Back goes Piscotty to the warning track at the wall. It's out of here. Alejandro De Aza with his 2nd 3-run homer on this road trip. And the Mets have broken this game open. It's 7-0 New York. De Aza hit a 3-run homer in San Francisco on Saturday night. He hits another 3-run homer tonight, and the Mets now with a 7-run lead.
Again, Jay Bruce couldn't make the call tonight. That puts De Aza in the lineup. That choke up on the bad swing and launches it into the bullpen of the Cardinals.
A 5 RBI night for De Aza, his 5th home run of the year. Came into the night with 13 RBIs all season. He's got 5 tonight. And 4 unearned runs in this 5th inning. The result of the Greg Garcia error.
Watch Wainwright's reaction. He knew right away. The way the season's going, he knows that ball's out. And it only cleared by about 5 feet. But when you're going through a bad period, you know it's out.
5 unearned runs for the Mets in the last 2 innings.
Contact was supposed to be a cutter inside. It's right down the middle of the plate, down and in. Really a great place for the left-handed hitter. And what did I say? That could have been a momentum swinger. Well, the Garcia era certainly was.
Career high 5 RBIs for De Aza. 2-2 now to Rivera. So Seth Lugo is now 3 outs away from qualifying for his first major league win.
Could have 2 pitchers in the series get their first win.
Robert Gesellman get a win in relief in the opening game of the series. And the curveball strikes out Rivera to end the inning, but the Mets cash 4 unearned runs, 3 of them on one big swing from Alejandro De Aza. His second 3-run homer in less than a week. Huge night for De Aza, playing in place of Jay Bruce, and the Mets have a 7-0 lead halfway through in St. Louis. The 7-0 lead in the rubber game of this series, and Seth Lugo, who has thrown 4 scoreless innings, 3 outs away from qualifying for his first big league win. Well, we got the determination from the replay officials about the call at third base, and it's as we suspected. It was about the glove coming off the hand of Adam Wainwright that caused that call to be confirmed of Cespedes being safe.
You know, it's the same, folks at home. If you're running to first and the first baseman tried to tag you in the ball and the glove fell out of his hand, same if the catcher did the same thing. Got to be able to retain the ball and the glove.
Randall Grichuk doubled his first time up, and he takes a fastball away, 1-1.
I don't know why Wainwright was trying to get out of there. He should have just stayed there and held the tag down on the glove. He tried to pull out of there for, maybe he thought, injury factor or something.
Well, it's an awkward play for a pitcher, right?
It's an awkward play because you don't make it very often, but he's, you know, he's a fine athlete, and if he could have just stayed there, he might have gotten the call.
Well, it certainly changed the nature of the inning. The error by Garcia brought the run in, and then the 3-run homer by De Aza. Long fly ball to right off the bat of Grichuk. Granderson on the warning track and has enough room to make the catch. Now, the warning track has been Lugo's friend tonight. Carpenter, Peralta, now Grichuk, all sending Met outfielders well back on the track and all caught.
Well, Curtis has been playing every single outfield position. See his right hand feeling for the wall? It never came, and he was able to make that difficult play look pretty easy.
So 1 out. Now Garcia, whose error led to 4 runs, gets a turn bat to try and get some partial redemption.
There's no redemption he can possibly have in this at bat. None.
Garcia was intentionally walked his first time up. He's been on base 5 times in a row the last 2 nights. Here's a strike, 1-1. Jeremy Hazelbaker's come out on deck to bat for Adam Wainwright.
And I say that meaning that, you know, there's not a person I've ever played with or watched that tries to make an error, especially in that situation. It happens, but it just seems to be one of the themes for this team this year.
Jonathan Broxton up in the bullpen, getting ready to pitch in the 6th inning. 3-1 to Garcia. So Wainwright charged with 7 runs. Only 2 of them will be earned. So small comfort. His ERA won't take a huge hit, but another lost outing for Wainwright, who really has not had a good one since the game in New York.
That was a pretty good game there. A game prior, he shut out the Marlins here. His only shutout for the year.
Garcia walks, the 3rd one given up by Lugo, so Garcia's on base for a 6th straight time. And now Hazelbaker will bat for Wainwright. Hazelbaker had a base hit as a pinch hitter in the 8th inning of the first game of this series. Cardinal pinch hitters this year are hitting an absurd .358, which is not only first in the National League, but the 2nd place team on the list is Colorado at .284. That's a 74-point gap.
And they've got 14 home runs from their pinch hitters, including 4 from Mr. Hazelbaker.
And Hazelbaker pops it up. And Cabrera takes charge of it. 2 out. Now the question becomes, how far can Terry Collins go with Seth Lugo? Remember, he threw 69 pitches in that 6 2/3 inning stint last Friday. He's at 81 pitches now. You'd have to suspect, if he gets through this 5th, that that's going to be all.
That makes sense. Blevins is up already. You know, it's just that he hasn't started a lot, you know, so he's trying to get these innings under his belt in the major leagues.
I think Blevins is up in case the Mets need a pitcher in this inning.
Yeah.
Matt Carpenter, the batter, and he nubs one left of the mound. Lugo's got it, and he's got his 5 scoreless innings. Quite a job by Seth Lugo. 7-0 New York as we go to the 6th. We go to the 6th inning. Mets with a 7-0 lead. Jonathan Broxton on in relief for St. Louis. New catcher in as well. And Seth Lugo takes outside. Alberto Rosario is the new catcher as Yadier Molina is taken out with a 7-run deficit. I have to assume that's the only reason why.
Yes, I would agree.
And the veteran Broxton into pitch. Seth Lugo not only has pitched 5 scoreless innings, got his first big league hit his last time up. There's Broxton.
Also known as the most imposing figure on the mound in Major League Baseball.
The man with the redwood legs. Well, there was a time when he was completely intimidating. Doesn't throw quite as hard as he used to.
Yeah, for the Dodgers early in his career, he was not lights out, but close.
I mean, he was a 98, 99 guy. And Lugo strokes one on the ground to Jerko. And that's the first out of the inning. Let's go back to the play at third where Cespedes was ruled safe. Here's the play. You see Wainwright gets the tag down, apparently in time, but loses the glove in the process. And here's what we got from Major League Baseball. The replay official determined that the fielder did not maintain possession of the ball by nature of the fielder not holding the glove with the ball in his possession. So he didn't hold the ball long enough to prove that he had made the tag and held the tag.
Additionally,
did not hold the ball long enough to prove he did have complete control of the ball, thereby not establishing the validity of the tag, which is why the call was confirmed.
Very good. Very good job in Chelsea, guys.
Reyes lines one toward the middle of the diamond. Jerko on the backhand. The quick toss in time to get him. Nice play by Jerko for the second out. Well, it's a play like that that you don't see all the time.
That's right.
That really provides the most intrigue, right?
Well, you know what my first thought was after all this was said and done and the rule and all that? I'm ready for the postseason games. If I ever get one of those, I'll remember a night in St. Louis with you and I.
Like your outfield fly rule play. There's Cabrera, 1 for 3. Pop fly double in the third, and he pulls one foul.
You know, I was thinking in 2013, well, 2011, the year the Cardinals won. They didn't get a lot of starting pitching in the postseason, but I remember down the stretch, the Mets beat them here in a game 1-0. I thought they were dead and buried, but they came back and they had an unbelievable postseason. David Freese was incredible.
David Freese?
David Freese, that David Freese.
Really?
Yeah. Guy who just got the new 2-year contract with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Yeah.
Didn't he come up in a question?
Yeah, he might have. He might have. But what the Cardinals would say every time they were on the road in a rubber game is that they wanted to have a happy flight.
Right.
And the Mets, if they can hold on and win this game here, can start that process for late August and early September.
Well, let's go back to our Verizon trivia question. I guess we characterize it as a layup. I'm assuming most Met fans feel the same way.
Change up, by the way.
Yeah.
Down.
Well, Santana.
Yeah.
134th pitch.
Perfect.
Broxton strikes out Cabrera. So Broxton throws a 1-2-3 inning. We go to the bottom of the 6th, 7-0. to pitch the bottom of the 6th, and Terry Collins and the trainer Ray Ramirez just took him out of the game. Apparently an injury problem with Seth Lugo as the Mets continue to go deeper and deeper into starting pitching. Lugo pitching a gem, in line for his first big league win, even has his first big league hit, 5 scoreless innings, and now coming out because of an apparent injury problem.
Well, I guess his right fist is all right because he can fist bump, but we'll see what the injury is.
Jim Henderson was not up in the bullpen. He'll have to start from scratch here, warming up from the mound to get ready to take over and pitch in relief of Lugo.
When Terry ran out and heard that Lugo could not go, he turned away in such disgust, like, you've got to be kidding me. And now he's having a discussion with Seth now.
Day after day after day, this team cannot have anything good happen to it without an injury mitigating it.
I mean, this is supposed to be one of those smile all day games when you got a 7-0 lead.
So Lugo is out. Henderson will get as long as he needs to warm up. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon, and we'll be right back to St. Louis. And pick up the pieces here. They've got a 7-0 lead. Here's Seth Lugo warming up. It's a long view, but see if we can see anything. That was the last pitch that he threw, and then what does it look like? It's his leg?
Yeah,
like he's stretching on his leg.
It definitely looks like a leg type of injury.
Or a back, perhaps. I don't know.
Who knows? We got everything covered here. Whatever hasn't been covered, it probably is.
Well, I guess the most positive thing is Jim Henderson gets set to pitch to Jed Jerko and throws a breaking ball outside, as it did not appear to be anything with his arm.
Yes.
So I guess that's the best thing you can say.
Here's the cheap numbers for Henderson. He hadn't pitched since June 18th till he came in here to face Jerko, struck him out on a 3-2 fastball.
Jerko's 0 for 2, and he lines one into left center for a base hit. So the Cardinals have their 3rd hit of the night, a leadoff single for Jerko. Here's Lugo running from home to first on that ground out.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything there, right? Ground ball to second. It didn't go all the way to first. He looks fine.
Certainly didn't grimace in any way. So the final line on Seth Lugo in his second big league start: 5 innings, no runs, 2 hits, 3 walks, 1 intentional, 5 strikeouts. Lowered his ERA to 2.51 and a chance for his first big league win. But still 12 outs to get.
Well, that's the issue. The issue is that you'd have loved to seen him get at least 1 more inning in and save this bullpen, and now they got to get 12 outs against a team that, you got a good lead at 7-0.
And this has greater ramifications than that, because you've already got Steven Matz, who's missing the start tonight. It's Lugo who took his spot. You hope that Matz can come back and pitch Tuesday against the Marlins, but the Mets won't know that till he throws a bullpen over the weekend. You've got Jacob deGrom, who's had 2 rough starts in a row, and Terry Collins said after the game last night that they'd love to, give him some time. But where do you go at this point for starting pitching? Sean Gilmartin was called up today to give the Mets an extra arm out of the bullpen. I guess he'd be the next guy in line. He's been starting down in AAA. But a team that was so rich in starting pitching going into the season, and who really hung their hat on their starting pitching, all of a sudden is seeing the starting pitching disappear.
We started this season with 5 guys that make a Sports Illustrated cover. We got guys now that might not make a highlight magazine at the dentist's office. I mean,
I loved highlights.
I do too.
It's great. But you only saw it at the dentist's office. Right. 1-2 to Moss. And that almost went to the backstop. Rivera with quick reactions. 2-2.
I mean, that ball is, boy, almost 6-7 feet, and nice reaction from Rene.
Straight and oblique, reaching like that. Maybe I shouldn't say
Don't
that.
say that.
The way it's going. Jerko at first and nobody out. Moss is 0 for 2 tonight. And he drills one deep down the right field line toward the corner, and it's out of here. Off the foul pole for a 2-run homer for Brandon Moss, and the Cardinals are on the board. Number 24 for Moss, who leads St. Louis. And the Met lead is now 7-2. So to add insult to injury, Lugo leaves and Henderson gets blitzed.
Well, Brandon Moss just has serious pop. Catches the ball to hit, wraps it up. I was going to say around the foul pole, but he hit the foul pole. Hit it so hard, didn't have a chance to go foul.
Now Stephen Piscotty takes up an in.
Young or old, when a guy comes in from the bullpen and has to warm up in front of fans, you just don't know how he's going to react.
Piscotty has struck out and walked tonight. He pops one foul back this way. And just over our heads, 1-1. Well, we're going to get some further action now in the Mets bullpen as Henderson, who has been erratic with his velocity this year, sees his fastball diminished tonight from where it was the other night as Jerry Blevins gets back up. This popped up foul. Early in the season, coming out of spring training, Henderson was throwing 95, 96, and those numbers started to go down, particularly when he worked back-to-back days early in the season, and he wound up on the disabled list in June.
Well, right now his ball is up and down the middle. Key for that 95, 96 also, Gary, was he was on the outside corner and low. Hasn't got there so far.
1-2 coming, and the breaking ball popped up. Flores waiting for it, and that's the first out of the inning. So 1 away. Now remember, Yadier Molina was pulled out of this game with the Mets up 7-0. We're assuming just to give him a few innings off in a lopsided game. Well, the rookie catcher Alberto Rosario will now bat in Molina's spot, which has got to be a great comfort to the Mets, the way Molina's been swinging the bat against them. Rosario, the backup, with Brian Pena out for a long time on the disabled list. He was supposed to be Molina's backup this year. They had Eric Fryer as their backup earlier this year. He wound up with the Pirates. I think they do expect Pena back.
Yeah, sooner than later, I believe.
So now Henderson trying to settle in after getting Piscotty on the pop-up. One and one to Rosario, and he's overmatched on that fastball. 1-2. Jim Henderson's second appearance off the disabled list. Hadn't pitched in the big leagues in almost 2 months, and came into a really tight spot in the opening game of this series in his first outing back. Two out to Rosario. Johnny Peralta waiting on deck. They've gone to the 7th in Miami. The Royals lead the Marlins 4-2. Marlins started the night a game and a half behind St. Louis and 3 games in front of the Mets. In the air, deep to right center. Back goes Granderson. He's got plenty of room. And that's the second out. Well, there's an unexpected sight with the Mets in St. Louis. Matt Harvey in the Mets dugout. We haven't seen much of Matt.
Saw him once at home, right?
Yeah.
And once here on the road.
That's the first time that I've seen him around on the road since he had the thoracic outlet surgery. There's Peralta, who's 0 for 2, struck out and fly deep to center. In Washington tonight, Max Scherzer's having one of those games.
Yeah.
1-0. The Nats lead the Orioles in the bottom of the 8th. Scherzer 8 innings, 2 hits, no walks, 10 strikeouts.
He's leading the league in strikeouts, isn't he? Leading the world in strikeouts.
Well, the Nats just trying to escape that 4-game series with a win.
Yeah.
Lost 2 at Camden Yards and then got outscored last night 10-8.
And that's why you have an ace like Scherzer.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh. It's just that during the break after Lugo came out, Ronnie said, if he has a cramp in his calf, I'm not going to believe it. Well, Seth Lugo left the game because of a cramp in his right calf.
I'm giving up my card carrying member as a former pitcher. Just give up the card.
Flores throws out Peralta, so Henderson settles in after the home run. 7-2 Mets as we go to the 7th in St. Louis. Another rough night for Adam Wainwright, not helped by his defense. Seth Lugo, first major league win is a possibility. 5 scoreless innings, but left with a calf cramp. Yoenis Cespedes leading off in the 7th inning against Jonathan Broxton. Cespedes 0 for 2 and a walk tonight. Scored a run in the 4-run 5th inning for the Mets. Loney and Granderson to follow. Broxton's 2nd inning of relief. And Cespedes fouls off the fastball. Wainwright went 5, allowed 9 hits, 7 runs, 2 of them earned, 2 walks, 1 intentional, 3 strikeouts, and a home run. If the Mets can win tonight and take this series, they would be 5-5 on the road trip, and considering the way it started, losing 2 of 3 in Arizona and the first 2 in San Francisco, that would be amazing. That's it toward the right field line, and Cespedes has a base hit. He's on his way to second, and a fan touches the ball. Fan interference, double for Cespedes. So Cespedes has his 20th double of the year, and the Mets have the leadoff man in scoring position in the 7th.
Well, you know what? It's nice to see. Protecting the plate, trying to put a ball in play, and he's rewarded for it. I mean, if you're going to go after it, you might as well pick it up, bro.
Do you get thrown out of the ballpark now for doing that?
7-2. If you're going to get thrown out, now's the time to get thrown out.
I mean, it used to be if you touched the ball and play like that, you were gone immediately.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could claim ignorance, say you thought it was foul. Here's Loney, who is awfully unhappy that Adam Wainwright has left the ball game. Grounds one back to Broxton, who looks Cespedes back and gets the first out of the inning. You know how some pitchers have trouble throwing to first? Broxton doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
He threw 98 miles an hour to first base.
Broxton's about 6'6", folks, and I would say he's one of the few major league players that's probably 3+.
Listed at 3+.
So he's listed at 3+.
Yeah. Well, he was for years, and right now they got him at 285, so I guess he's slimmed down a tad. Granderson takes a curveball high. Curtis is 1 for 3, doubled back in the 2nd inning. Mets got a run in the 2nd on a Flores sac fly, 2 in the 4th on a De Aza 2-run single, and then 4 in the 5th, 1 on an error, and then De Aza with a 3-run homer. A huge night for Alejandro, who is only in the lineup because Jay Bruce has a calf cramp.
That's right.
You know how a few years ago the oblique was the hot injury?
Yes.
This week it's the calf cramp. Stay on top of all the latest news from Jets training camp with in-depth analysis and up-to-the-minute reports straight from Florham Park on the JetsBlog.com, part of the SNY.TV blog network. Cespedes at second with 1 out. 1-2 to Granderson with Flores on deck. And Broxton deals inside. 2-2.
I think Terry should adopt what some of the NFL coaches do. You ever see those guys, Gary, when they're asked about injuries? They always say the same thing. I don't discuss injuries. Because literally the first 5 questions are usually about injuries. How's someone doing? When are they going to get back?
That's what Terry's season has been like every day. By the way, did you see they have changed the NFL injury report? There is no more probable.
Oh.
Because teams were taking healthy players and putting them on the injury report as probable, just to try and confuse matters.
That's right. I mean, Brady was on that list every week forever.
The Patriots would basically put the entire roster on the injury list. but that's Belichick, you know.
Yeah.
2-2 to Granderson, and he goes down swinging on the slider. Broxton has his second strikeout, and the second time in a row Granderson has struck out on a breaking ball out of the strike zone.
That pitch down and in, that in his first year we saw Curtis not unable to lay off on. He was able to do that last year, and it generated a lot of walks for him. He's back to where he was then.
So 2 outs. Cespedes is still at second after a leadoff double, and now Flores. Sac fly, double, reached on an error. He's driven in 1. He's scored 2 tonight. And he breaks his back, gets it under Broxton's glove, but Jerko's there to clean up. And that retires the side. That's waste a leadoff double, but they still lead 7-2 at the 7th inning stretch. Home to start a 10-game homestand with the first of 3 against the Phillies, with Bartolo Colon on the mound. Jeep Friday night baseball coverage begins at 6 o'clock tomorrow night right here on SNY. There are your city probables for the weekend. Colon against the lefty Adam Morgan tomorrow night. Noah Syndergaard against the very steady Jeremy Hellickson Saturday night, and then Robert Gazelman gets his first major league start against hard-throwing Vince Velasquez Sunday afternoon.
Velasquez can be electric.
He's really been up and down,
yes,
though, since that incredible start to his season. Jerry Blevin's on to pitch the bottom of the 7th.
He strike out 16 in a game, 15, 16.
He had an electric start against the Mets early in the season, too. Randall Grichuk has doubled to left and flied out deep to right. 1 for 2 tonight. And a fastball outside, 1-1. Greg Garcia on deck, and then the pitcher's spot for the Cardinals in the 7th. They've been limited to 4 hits tonight, 2 against Lugo in 5 scoreless innings, and then 2 against Henderson, who gave up a 2-run homer. Good breaking ball by Blevins to get ahead on Grichuk. It's been one of the oddities of Jerry Blevin's season that a guy who's been a career left-handed specialist has actually fared better against right-hand hitters than he has against lefties. And he's done well against both. Been more of a crossover guy than ever before in his career. And he gets a little number up the first baseline. A long way to get it for Rivera. Low throw, but Loney handles it nicely. And they get the out. 1 out and nobody on. Let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Gary, a decade in the league for Jerry Blevins, and he may be having his best season as a major leaguer. And he spoke about one way that he's gotten better is really over the years slowing things down pitch by pitch, trusting his preparation. He says if you take a look at him in between pitches, Blevins will look at the baseball for just a second. It gives him a pause to think to himself, okay, what just happened? Did I read the batter's swing? Where were his feet? If you know Jerry Blevins, he's a pretty cerebral guy, so it's not surprising, but that's really helped him here as he's progressed in his career.
And I thought it was the bow ties.
He can wear a bow tie. He looks great in them, doesn't he?
Not a lot of guys can pull off the bow tie.
That's right.
Frank Cashin, Jerry Blevins.
Pee Wee Herman.
Well, maybe not so much. Greg Garcia has been to the plate twice in this game, drawing a walk each time, but his biggest moment of the game was not a pretty one. Booted a 2-out ground ball that led to 4 unearned runs in the 5th inning. Garcia, though, has reached base 6 straight times the last 2 nights. Tommy Pham is out on deck to be a pinch hitter with the pitcher's spot due up next. And Garcia tops one foul, 2-2. Well, last night the Cardinals had 19 hits, the most the Mets had given up in a game in almost 4 years. Tonight they have only 4 hits.
Crazy game, right? There's John Mabry, their hitting coach, hitting instructor, I should say.
Pass Blevins toward the middle, off the glove of Cabrera, and Garcia is safe. Somehow that ball wound up in the hands of Wilmer Flores. I think that goal would have been disallowed. It was batted out of the air.
That's right. You're just so surprised when Cabrera doesn't make a play.
It would have been hard to throw out Garcia anyway. Right. So Garcia is on base for the 7th straight time. 3 for 3 and 4 walks in this series. Cardinals have their 5th hit of the night. And now Pham is the pinch hitter. Tommy Pham started the first game of the series, went 0 for 3 with a walk and a hit by pitch. And he shoots one foul. Kevin Segris, the left-hander, up in the bullpen. Remember we were talking before about the fact that Busch Stadium's been a little emptier than we're used to seeing it, and that they have a long string of crowds of 40,000 plus. Tell me if this sounds a little suspicious to you.
Okay.
First game of the series, the attendance was 40,082.
Okay.
Last night 40,053. Tonight 40,023.
Sounds a little suspicious.
A little fishy.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 to Pham. And Blevins strikes him out with a curveball for the 2nd out of the inning.
Honestly, this is one of the best things that's happened for the Mets, is for Blevins to come back the way he has. His biggest work is to be done. If the Mets are going to make it into October, he's going to have a big September, facing a lot of those hitters in the NL East. Freddie Freeman figured it out. Bryce Harper is going to figure it out, I'm sure.
And don't forget Murph.
Oh, and the Murph.
Well, last year Blevins' season lasted only 5 innings before he took a line drive off his forearm and was done for the season. But he has been a huge factor as the 3rd wheel alongside Familia and Reed in the Mets bullpen. Here's Matt Carpenter, who's 0 for 3 tonight, and he takes a fastball for a strike. Speaking of Addison Reed, he's up now in the Mets bullpen. So this is going to be one of those that Terry is not going to let get away.
Yeah.
He's going to go to his A guys in the 8th and 9th.
I agree 100%. Every game is like the 7th game of the World Series. You got to win tonight. Figure out how to win tomorrow when that comes.
35 more games after tonight.
I know most of my friends who watch baseball religiously find that the season is long because it's 162 games. When you just mentioned 35, it's amazing to me how quickly it goes, to me.
Line just past Blevins' ear, and fortunate to get out of the way as Carpenter has his first base hit of the night, and Blevins had to hear that one whistle by.
So Blevins has got the 2 right-handers out, but the 2 left-handers have gotten them.
Ronnie, what does that sound like when that ball goes past your ear like that?
Well, one, sometimes you don't even see it, Gary, and there's a whoosh sound that goes past you, and you can, it's hard to describe, but it's almost palpable, the weight of the ball as it's going past your head. All you can say is when it gets to the outfield, thank God it didn't hit me.
So 2 out and 2 on. And now Blevins will face another right-hand hitter, Jed Jerko. And this was really close.
Carpenter is known for hitting the ball right back through the box. Whoa.
Almost got him in the mouth.
Yes.
Wow. Probably could taste the stitches. That's a great shot, by the way.
Well, we always,
not necessarily for Jerry,
No.
but for just to see how incredibly close that was.
you know, for fans out there, it's always third base. It's the hot corner. And it's the pitcher who ends up about 60 feet away, 55 feet away.
Jerko had a base hit to greet Henderson in the 6th. 1 for 3 on the night. And the curveball has Blevins ahead on the count 0-2.
Well, these fans here in St. Louis are some of the best in baseball, and they realize what's going on in the game, and this could be the last hurrah for them to get back into this game for a home run hitter like Jerko to maybe come through.
They're very enthusiastic, they're very knowledgeable, and they're very forgiving.
They are. I never ever heard them boo one of their own players, ever.
Oh-2 from Blevins. Fastball got him looking. Side retired. He surprised him with a fastball. Second strikeout for Blevins. And the Cardinals strand 2 in the 7th. Right down the middle. Going to the 8th, 7-2 New York. Mets with a 7-2 lead. And the left-hander Kevin Segrist comes on to pitch.
Well, Segrist has had an interesting couple of years here with the Cardinals. 5 relief wins this year, 12 total the last couple of seasons. See, right-handed hitters, his numbers are better against right-handers than they are against left-handed hitters.
He has abandoned his slider this year and started throwing a curveball, and it seems to have worked for him. Led the league in appearances last year. He was in 81 games last year. Alejandro De Aza's had himself an enormous night. A 2-run single in the 4th, a 3-run homer in the 5th. Consider this on De Aza. In his first 184 plate appearances this year, he had 9 RBIs. In his last 18 plate appearances, he has 9 RBIs.
Wow.
5 of them tonight. And they were big ones. Mets were up 1-0 in the 4th when De Aza singled in 2 runs. And then after an error by Greg Garcia allowed a run to score in the 5th, De Aza unloaded a 3-run homer to put a huge crimp in Adam Wainwright's night. De Aza in the lineup tonight because Jay Bruce felt he needed another day with the cramp in his calf, and De Aza taking full advantage of the playing time.
Well, just right down the middle and down, and dumped into that bullpen by De Aza. And a little dance. Why not?
Well, Reyes is on the team. You know there's going to be dancing.
Forgot about that.
Remember how that used to go?
Yes.
Full count to De Aza. Remember when he had the different handshakes with everybody on the team?
He did. Didn't Santana have a different handshake also?
As long as they don't bring back the car wash.
Car wash
was the low point of dugout celebrations.
I can't say anything. Our teams in the 80s had some of the weakest things ever done on a bench, from rally caps to celebratory whatever we did after. It was just awful. When I look back on it, totally embarrassed by it.
And so much of it is immortalized in video too.
More embarrassed by it. Seemed right at the time, though.
Well, it was of the 80s,
yeah.
Right? That's what we've learned this week. Breaking ball outside, and De Aza is on base for the 3rd time in a row. Met fans catch a flight to 2017 spring training with Delta Airlines and Delta Dugout. Visit sny.tv/Delta Dugout for details. Now Rene Rivera, who's 0 for 2 in a walk. Justin Ruggiano's come out on deck to pinch hit. Addison Reed was up a moment ago, getting ready to pitch in the bottom of the 8th. And a check swing. Rene went around, 0-1. Kevin Segrist, who was born in Buffalo but grew up in Florida, much more baseball friendly.
Sounds smart. Well, Buffalo's a great town.
Just not a very long baseball season.
Yeah, cold town.
Snowy town. Lake effects.
That's right.
Actually spent 4 or 5 days in Buffalo
last
year doing basketball, and it was great.
Yeah.
They've really done a nice job there building up that town.
What's the famous place for wings? Did you go there?
The Anchor Bar.
There you go.
I had been there before. I didn't go on that particular trip. It's where they invented the Buffalo wing. That's lined into left field, a base hit for Rivera, and that'll go all the way back to the corner. Racing for third is De Aza. He's going to be held up there. And pulling in at second is Rene Rivera with a double. looked like Tim Tuffle played it pretty safe there, and that De Aza might have had a pretty fair chance to score, but not taking any chances.
Yeah, I don't know if it was because there was no outs. Tuff didn't want to get anyone thrown out at home because of the Mets' 5-run advantage, but De Aza was flying, and I thought he was going to score pretty easily.
I'd have to assume it's because there was nobody out.
Nobody out.
So now Ruggiano will be the pinch hitter. The infield has to come in with the Cardinals already down by 5. Ruggiano homered in the opening game of this series. And StatCast said it was the longest home run by a Met this season, which is a little hard to fathom when Cespedes hit one in the 3rd deck at Citi Field, but we'll go with it.
I'm not going with any of that. I don't believe any of it. That one by Cespedes into the upper tank was as far as you can hit a ball.
Unless you're Stanton.
Yeah.
But he's not hitting them anywhere.
Well, he hit
right
some
now.
line drives, though, you know?
I don't know. The one that he hit in Miami down the line that almost broke the scoreboard again.
Right, that's right. What's his prognosis? He's trying to come back this season?
Yeah, but that's happened the last 2 years too, and he's been unable to come back each time. So I don't know. I mean, you understood that he got hit in the face 2 years ago, but then with the broken hand last year, he was out for what, the last 3 months.
Well, they thought he was coming back, 3 and 4 different times, and he never did.
Of course, when he first got hurt, they said he's done for the year, and then the prognosis has gotten a little better, so we'll see. But the puzzling guy for them has been Justin Bour, who has been out forever with a sprained ankle.
High ankle sprain.
Doesn't seem to get much better. It reminds me of, remember when Ike Davis had the one after the collision in Colorado?
Right.
That never seemed to get any better. Jerome Williams, Hawaiian, up in the bullpen.
St. Louis, they lead the world with Hawaiian kids, right? With Colton Wong, Greg Garcia, who played at the University of Hawaii, and Jerome Williams.
And you're here.
Well, I'm supposed to be on the other side. I was in the manager's office in Miami with Don Mattingly, with Cal Ripken Jr., and Justin Bour was in there. And Mattingly made Justin Bour leave the room. He said, "You cannot be in here on the DL with a high ankle sprain with Cal Ripken Jr. coming into the room. You've got to leave immediately."
That's funny. Ruggiano goes down swinging on a high fastball. And that's the first out of the inning. Let's check in with the studio. Eamon McEnany has a game break, brought to you by the New York State Smokers Quit Line. All right, Eamon. Now Jose Reyes will get an intentional walk, and the Cardinals will go after Asdrubal Cabrera with the bases loaded. So Segrist, after giving up a walk to De Aza and a double to Rivera, striking out Ruggiano, walks Reyes, and Cabrera, who has been swinging the bat incredibly well right-handed, will get another right-handed at bat unless they bring in Jerome Williams.
Are you watching Reyes on these 3 pitches? He's faking like he's going to take a swing with a big leg kick.
Just having fun. So the base is loaded and 1 out, and Cabrera with a chance to do some damage. Well, doesn't look like Matheny's making a move. Cabrera's hitting .316 as a right-hand batter. Opening game of this series against Tommy Garcia. He had 2 hits his first 2 times up.
I think it goes back to those numbers we were reading when Segrist came in. He pitches better against right-handed hitters.
Cabrera 1 for 4 tonight. Bases loaded, 1 out. And as Asdrubal takes a strike on the inside, he sure didn't think so. So over in Washington, the Nationals shut out the Orioles 4-0. Scherzer went just the 8 innings. Melanson pitched the 9th. Yeah. Maybe not.
No.
So the Nats snap a 4-game losing streak with that win. Nats also today improved their chances of getting a triple word score by making the deal for Mark Zepchinski.
That's right.
Whose nickname, of course, is Scrabble. There are 2 Z's in there somewhere. So that really negates the whole Scrabble nickname, since there's only 1 Z in Scrabble.
Yeah, it's exactly 2 Z's in there.
0-2 to Cabrera. Cespedes on deck. And as Dribble takes that one inside.
RZ, CEP, CZY, NSKI.
I can't refute that.
I'm trying. You got to check it in the truck.
Anyway, they have another lefty in the bullpen now named Mark. And that's lined toward the middle. Base hit for Cabrera. That brings in De Aza. Everybody else moves up a base as Dribble Cabrera with an RBI single, and it's 8-2 New York. So he continues to rake from the right side.
After the tough call on the first pitch, Cabrera stayed in the at bat, right back up the middle, and add-on runs for the Mets.
And Mike Matheny's going to make a pitching change after that ringing base hit by Cabrera. Segrist will exit. Jerome Williams will come in to face Cespedes with the bases loaded. Pitching change brought to you by Empire City Casino. 8-2 Mets in the 8th. We'll be right back. Four-year-old Jerome Williams now with his 8th different major league team.
Well, he's made 149 starts in his major league career, 231 appearances, 52 big league wins.
Comes in to face Cespedes with the bases loaded and 1 out. Cespedes 1 for 3 and a walk, double to right field his last time up. And he lifts one foul down the right side. And that'll go out of play. Cespedes has 2 career home runs against Williams in 16 at bats.
Well, Jerome, when he first came up, threw pretty hard, but he doesn't throw hard now. Mostly a breaking ball pitcher, and everyone at home knows what a great breaking ball hitter Cespedes is.
Comes inside with the fastball, and it's 1-1. Jerome Williams started a whole bunch of games for the Phillies last year. Didn't enjoy a lot of success. He was on the shelf until June when the Cardinals signed him. Double play ball, Garcia to Jerko, and on to first. Cardinals turn their 3rd double play of the night. Mets tack on a run on Cabrera's RBI hit and lead it 8-2 going to the bottom of the 8th. Rubber game in St. Louis. Mets with a 6-run lead. Chevrolet, Max Scherzer, dominant performance tonight. The Nats get 1 of 4 from the Orioles. Andrew McCutchen, 18th home run. Pirates behind Chad Kuhl, leading the Brewers 2-0. And Ross Stripling, who made his major league debut against the Giants earlier this year and was pulled with a no-hitter after 7 1/3.
Right.
Starts again against the Giants tonight. Dodgers have taken the first 2 of that series and lead the Giants by 3 games in the NL West.
You watched Matt Moore pitch in San Francisco. What'd you think?
It's not the same guy.
He's not as electric as he was, huh?
It's not the same guy.
No.
Which is a shame, because when he came up with Tampa Bay, he was electric.
Yes, he was.
Josh Smoker with a 6-run lead will get the bottom of the 8th. They had Addison Reed up when it was a 5-run lead, but Smoker gets it now that it's 6.
Well, they're hoping Smoker can get them 6 outs here at the end of this ball game.
Brandon Moss, first man he's facing. Moss drilled a home run off the screen attached to the foul pole for the 2 Cardinal runs in the 6th inning. His 24th of the year, giving the Cardinals a 14th straight game with a home run. But that's been all their scoring. And it's in the air to right field. Granderson hoping he has enough real estate. Back on the warning track and watches this one go out for Moss's 2nd home run of the night. Number 25 for Brandon Moss, as he issues a rude greeting to Josh Smoker, and now it's 8-3 New York.
5-run lead now. Moss is such an interesting player. Drafted high by the Boston Red Sox. They thought he was going to be a great power hitter, and it took him such a long time to figure it out. But once he is such a dangerous weapon. And he doesn't hit many home runs off left-handed pitching.
So Smoker, who gave up a home run to Randall Grichuk here in the opening game of this series, gives up another home run. Now facing Stephen Piscotty, who's 0 for 2 in a walk tonight.
Cardinals looking a little bit like the Mets looked in the middle of this season. The only way they score is hitting the ball out of the ballpark.
Although if you look at the overall numbers for the two teams, it's stark. Cardinals have hit a few more home runs than the Mets, but they averaged a run and a quarter per game more than the Mets, which is a lot. Mets at 3.8 runs per game. The Cardinals just over 5 runs per game.
Did you see that number of the Dodgers since Kershaw went down? They're averaging 6 runs per game.
Well, a lot of that is Justin Turner, who has just had a fabulous last 2 months. Remember when we were out there in LA, how much he was struggling? And since the middle of June, you just can't get him out. A little flare into right into a left center. Cespedes coming over and has to play it on a hop. And Piscotty dumps a base hit.
Jammed a little bit was Piscotty. And it looked like for a second there that Cespedes was thinking of diving for this baseball, but
does he need a glove? I mean, what is the point of him wearing a glove? That's the second time in 2 nights that he's grabbed one with his bare hand. To the right side toward the hole, run down by Flores. He bobbles but gets it to Loney, who gets run into, and he's off the bag, and Rosario is safe. Well, Rosario ran up the back of Loney, and the first base umpire Mark Wegner said Loney was off the bag, and we'll see if the Mets challenge.
You're going to have to challenge that. I think what Wegner was calling is that Loney reached back to try to tag the runner, but he had his foot on the bag, I believe. Maybe he didn't.
It certainly appeared to be on the bag before Rosario got there. First the bobble.
Watch his right foot. See how it's there and it scrapes off the top of the bag? That's there in time.
I think Mets absolutely have to challenge that. Well, maybe not. Terry's coming out and going to the bullpen, but he does not appear to be challenging the call. So Rosario is safe at first. They're going to call a throwing error on Flores, which seems a little unfair. Yeah, maybe on that angle.
Yeah.
That's a better view. So Smoker faces 3 batters, home run, single, error, and that'll get Addison Reed into the game with the Mets up 8-3. We'll be right back. Addison Reed is in to try and pick up the pieces here in the 8th inning.
He's got 2 inherited runners here, 18 for 26 this season.
A run home on Moss's 2nd home run of the game. A single and an error have put 2 runners on base for Johnny Peralta. And he takes a fastball for a strike. Peralta's 0 for 3 tonight. 2nd appearance in the series for Reed, who worked around a couple of hits in the 8th inning in Tuesday night's game. Piscotty at 2nd, Rosario at 1st. And Peralta fouls it off, 0-2. Here's the play at 1st again, and this side angle I think is the best view of it.
Now watch Rosario's foot. It touches the bag, I think, right before or right at the same time that James tried to get his right foot on the bag.
Close enough that it looks like the Mets made the right call in not challenging. Oh, 2 to Peralta. Just off the corner. 1-2.
Where the Mets are going, very lucky that James Loney wasn't run over by the young Rosario.
Well, as a matter of fact, the Cardinal trainer came out to look at Rosario during the break when the pitching change was made. 1-2. And that's hit in the air to center. De Aza back, way back. Gets turned around, finds it, and makes the catch. Nice play by De Aza after he had to do the spin move to get to it. And that's the first out of the inning. Everything's going right for De Aza tonight. He's robbed a home run, or at least an extra base hit from Carpenter. He's driven in 5 runs, and now he makes another nice play.
It was tough. It was one of those right over the top of his head, hit hard by Peralta on the line. But nice job by Alejandro.
Anyway, the Cardinal trainer came out to look at Rosario. Remember, the Cardinals took Molina out of the game, so Rosario's got to stay in, otherwise they don't have a catcher.
Well, as the trainer and the manager, I was thinking of the two. The manager's the better catcher of both of them, and Mike Matheny.
Here's Grichuk, and he tops one back to Reed. It gets past him. It'll be an infield hit. A little bleeder off the bat of Grichuk, and now the Cardinals have the bases loaded.
Well, the only person that can make this play is Reed. He falls off to the first base side, so by the time he gets there, nothing that Jose Reyes could do. He's playing so deep at third base with the powerful Grichuk up. Remember, there was a time I said there's nothing that Garcia could do to avenge the play he made earlier.
Might be now. He's been on base 7 straight times the last 2 nights. He bats here with the bases loaded and 1 out. And he takes a fastball inside. Well, the Mets began this inning leading 8-2. Now the Cardinals need just 1 more base runner to get the tying run to the plate. Colton Wong is out on deck to pinch hit. He's the last man left on Mike Matheny's bench. Garcia, 2 walks and an infield hit tonight. And he takes a fastball strike, 1-1. Slider is down. 2 balls and a strike. Hasn't been smooth sailing for Reed the last couple of weeks. He and Familia both among the league leaders in appearances.
And the whole bullpen running on fumes.
Bases loaded, 1 out. And Garcia slaps one to third. Reyes with a tough snatch. Gets the out at second. Flores to first, not in time as a run comes home. And now it's 8-4. That was a tough pickup for Reyes. They get the force on Grichuk. Can't turn the double play, and Piscotty comes home.
Well, I tell you, I was not sure when Jose was signed if he was going to be able to take to third base And boy, that was almost an impossible play. Had so much spin on it, and he still got it in the leather.
That come off the lip of the grass, Ronnie?
It came off the lip, and then it bounced straight to his left. He was in front of it, and then he had to play it off to his left. That's just great athletic ability, great hands.
So an RBI for Garcia. Rosario winds up at third. Garcia at first with 2 out, and now Colton Wong will be the pinch hitter. 2 runs home in the inning. It's now 8-4 New York. And Wong goes after the first pitch slider, 0-1. It's been a lost season for Colton Wong. Sent to the minor leagues, moved to the outfield, and now basically pinned to the bench. And he hits one toward the left side, charging Reyes, bare hands and fires in time. Side retired. 2 terrific plays by Reyes to help Reed get through the inning and send this game to the 9th inning with the Mets up 8-4. Like he's been playing third base his whole life. And that great arm. RBIs. Seth Lugo's calf cramp taking him out after 5 innings. Mets lead 8-4 as we start the 9th. Sam Tuivailala makes his 2nd appearance of the series.
I want Nelson and Gary to take some salt tablets so they can make it through the final show, the entire show.
All I know is it may be warm in this ballpark, but it's freezing in that studio.
Yeah, it is.
James Loney's 2 for 4 tonight, and he drives one to left center. That's a base hit for Loney, his 3rd hit of the game. So Loney, who started in the cleanup spot because of his prowess against Wainwright, had 2 hits against him and now 1 against Tuivailala.
You know, and Keith always talks about working that swing of hitting line drives over the shortstop's head. No left-hander on the Mets team does it better than James Loney.
So Loney, who had a run-scoring hit against Tuivailala in the first game of the series, gets another hit against him. And now Granderson. Curtis is 1 for 4 tonight, doubled back in the 2nd inning, but has had a rough couple of at-bats, the last 2 striking out both times with men on base. And he takes a knee-high strike. Tuivailala, the 5th Cardinal pitcher of the night. Adam Wainwright went 5, allowed 7 runs, although only 2 of them earned on 9 hits. Jonathan Broxton 2 scoreless. Kevin Segras gave up a run in a third of an inning, and Jerome Williams got the last 2 outs in the 8th. Loney's hit marks the 6th time in 9 innings the Mets have had the leadoff man on. 2-1 to Granderson. Tuivailala, California native. Looks like he's got a really good future.
Yes, he does. They have a lot of good arms out in that bullpen, including Alex Reyes, who probably won't be out there long.
Saw him in the first game of the series on a longer stint. 2-2 to Granderson. Well, it's a 4-run lead, which means it won't be a save situation, but Jerry's Familia is on call in the bullpen. This game falls in the category of one you cannot let get away.
Yeah.
Mets at a 7-0 lead. Seth Lugo pitched 5 brilliant innings before he came out with the ubiquitous calf cramp. And the Mets have patched it together from there. 8 runs and 13 hits for the Mets offense tonight. And Granderson strikes out for the 3rd straight time. Coming up after the post-game Geico Sports Night, we'll have all the football news, golf, maybe some baseball as well. I'll bet. Geico Sports Night tonight after the post-game.
It's the big postseason for the golfers, Gary. It starts at Bethpage Black. I know you'll have your eyeball on that. That U.S. Open tennis. Imagine all the things that are occupying your mind.
Flores finds the hole for his 2nd hit of the night. So Wilmer's had a good game with the bat. 2 hits and a sacrifice fly.
It's nice to see both hits and the sacrifice fly against right-handed pitching.
And now the man of the night, Alejandro De Aza, will get a chance to add to his RBI total. De Aza already with a 2-run single and a 3-run homer, and then he walked and scored his last time up, so he's driven in 5. He scored 2. Well, it's funny how things work out over the course of a long season. We've talked a lot about how the Mets pitching doesn't look anything like they expected it to. Here's De Aza, who was originally signed to be a starting player, fell into a reserve role and struggled mightily for the first 3 months. Had a great month of July. It's tailed off a little in August, but now in the last week has just had some enormous hits. They used to say if you're going to win, you need 25.
That's right.
Now it's more like about 37 or 38.
Well, sometimes when you get off to such a bad start to a season, which Alejandro obviously did, what you can do to your season, especially after an all-star break, Gary, say, listen, I'm not going to have any of the numbers that I'm used to. I'm not going to have a batting average, none of that stuff. But you can do something to help your team down the stretch, and maybe he'll play an important role in trying to get this team into October.
He's also had a good defensive night. Fastball finds the inside corner, 1-2. It's a final in Miami. The Royals beat the Marlins 5-2. So Kansas City, after having their 9-game winning streak stopped last night, get the rubber game of that series. So the Mets have a chance to pick up ground not only on the Cardinals but on the Marlins as well. 2 of the 3 teams directly ahead of them. De Aza slices 1 foul.
Did you realize that Corey Seager is hitting .322? He did.
Having a great year.
Whoa.
I mean, remember,
I knew he was hitting home runs. And
remember when the talk was about the 3 National League shortstops, Story, Diaz, and Seager? Well, the other 2 are hurt, but I think even if they were all healthy, Seager would be far and away the top Rookie of the Year candidate. Diaz lays off the breaking ball, and it's 2-2.
You know, Story got hurt. Diaz got hurt, like you said. Russell has 82 RBIs in Chicago. I mean, just some really talented young shortstops out there.
Everywhere you look.
Yeah.
Diaz, they hope they'll have back before the end of the year. Diaz lifts this one to center, and Grichuk ranges over. That's the second out. I mean, the other thing about Diaz, they lost his bat, and obviously was having a terrific year swinging the bat, but his defense had really settled down from some early season troubles, and without him, their defense, which was already compromised, has really been awful.
Got hit by Andrew Kashner in Miami.
So now 2 out and 2 on. Here's Rene Rivera. Had a double to left field his last time up. 1 for 3 and a walk tonight. Kelly Johnson is out on deck. He'll pinch hit if Rivera keeps the inning going. Edinson Volquez went 5, allowed no earned runs for Kansas City in that win tonight. That skimmed foul. Tom Kohler took the loss. So the Marlins are now just 5 games over 500. The Mets with a win tonight would be 1 game over 500, 2 games behind Miami, and 3.5 behind St. Louis. And the Giants are fast fading into the conflagration too. They were only a half game up on St. Louis going into the night for the first wild card. The Giants certainly look better in taking the first 2 games of the series from the Mets last week, but their record since the All-Star break is just atrocious. Best record in baseball at the All-Star break, worst record in baseball since the All-Star break. Rivera lays off, and now Tuivailala behind 3-1. Milwaukee's just tied up Pittsburgh 2-2 on a Kirk Neuenhuis home run.
He's had a nice year, hasn't he?
He really has. Getting to play every day.
Yep.
They're going to the 8th, 2-2 in that game.
Good for him. Solid dude.
There are certain guys, when they leave, you root for them.
Yeah.
He is very much on that list.
Absolutely.
So now a full count to Rene. Loney and Flores will be running. And Rivera hits one deep to right field, chasing Piscotty back. It's over his head, and one hop against the wall. Loney is in, Flores right behind him. Rivera stops at first base with the longest 2-run single of his career, and it's 10-4 New York. So Rene Rivera puts this baby to bed. His second long hit of the game.
Well, Piscotty was playing very shallow in right field, and Rene Rivera made him pay. Ball kind of one hops the fence out there and comes right back to Piscotty. And Flores, of course, running on the pitch, scores easily from first.
So Flores scored from first base on a single, just like Enos Slaughter. Here's Kelly Johnson pinch hitting, and he ropes one into the glove of Carpenter to end the inning. But the Mets tack on 2 in the top of the 9th. In the rubber game of this series, a 6-run lead going to the bottom of the 9th. NY is brought to you by New York Lottery. Take a break from the expected. Play scratch-off games from the New York Lottery. By the Lexus NX Turbo and Hybrid. Go beyond utility. By Bob's Discount Furniture. Shop in store or online at mybobs.com. By Geico, over 75 years of savings and service. And by the all-new 2017 Hyundai Elantra. It's not just new, it's better. That's to be saying goodbye to the Arch in a few minutes. Hoping that Sean Gilmartin can get the final 3 outs.
Well, to see his numbers in Las Vegas, 9-7, almost 5 ERA. Kind of got to discount that a little bit because of the light air in Las Vegas.
Last big league outing was June 29th. And he throws a first pitch strike to Matt Carpenter. Gilmartin recalled today Eric Goodell sent down after Goodell worked an inning and 2/3 last night. He was here for a day.
It's going to continue, folks, all the way through the end of the season.
Well, at least until the 1st of September, when they can just bring them all up. Carpenter lifts one. Who's going to get it? Cabrera's the only man on that side, racing into foul ground, and he can't get to it. Well, that was a 70-yard dash.
Well, he knew at one point there was only one way to catch it, and that was to dive, kind of feet first, and maybe try to make that play. Look at him. He's winded.
Well, it's an interesting piece of the whole shifting thing, right? I mean, the shifts are, that's strike 3 called, so Carpenter's called out. The shifts are based on where hitters hit ground balls.
Yeah.
But does it account? I mean, because a lot of times they'll shift the outfield the other way because balls hit in the air tend to go left while ground balls go right.
Yeah.
But does that account for the infield pop-up that now nobody can get to?
I think they will tell you that pop-up is not a factor, and it doesn't matter.
Because there aren't that many of them.
That's right.
Yeah. That's probably valid. Jed Jerko is 1 for 4 tonight. Had a base hit and scored on Brandon Moss's first home run. Moss has hit a pair. He's on deck.
There's going to be a few people angry tonight that I just spoke for the sabermetric people.
That's okay. They wouldn't be the first people to be angry at us, you know.
Oh no, we make enemies everywhere we go. It's part of our charm.
It really. I don't know if it's baked in. I don't think it's intentional.
I think that you were probably a pretty nice guy before you met Keith and I, but Keith and I brought you down.
I don't know. You didn't hear me on the radio all those years.
We brought you into like the locker room atmosphere that can happen, and now you're in the middle of it and loving it.
It's a different kind of piece. I will acknowledge that. Jerko hits one well to center field. De Aza back to the warning track at the wall, and it's out of here. Well, they took away one almost home run tonight. Couldn't quite get to that one. Jerko has his 21st home run of the year, and it's now a 10-5 Met lead. Third home run of the night for the Cardinals, their 180th of the year. And Jerko has 14 since the All-Star break. That's the most of anybody in the National League.
That home run comes after at bat in the 7th inning when he had 2 on, when it could have been even bigger. But serious pop does Jed Jerko, and that's why Colton Wong is spending time on the pine.
Well, here's Brandon Moss, who homered each of his last 2 at bats. It went off the foul pole in the 6th inning against Jim Henderson, and then went into the bullpen in the 8th inning off Josh Smoker. And a check swing foul, and it's 1-1.
Can't be that many guys who've had a 3 home run game, and they came in this last 3 at bats of a game. If that happens.
Or a 3 home run game with this team down by 5 in the 9th. That's ripped and caught by Wilmer Flores. The triangle defense pays off. 2 men down. And so the Cardinals are down to their final out of the night.
This is one of those that you hope you catch in the webbing, because if you catch that in your palm, that'll be painful for a couple of days. And he did. He caught it like a snow cone just at the top.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Stephen Piscotty, who's 1 for 3 and a walk tonight, and he fouls back the first pitch fastball. Well, the Mets have pasted it together tonight after Lugo left with the cramp. Lugo went 5 scoreless innings. He's in line for his first big league win. Henderson, Blevins, Smoker, Reed, and now Gilmartin trying to finish it off. And the curveball bends in for a strike, and it's 0-2 to Piscotty.
Well, a few Met fans that are chasing the Cards. There's 16 games under 500 when they play teams over 500. That includes Pittsburgh and Chicago, who they have a lot of games left with.
1-2 to Piscotty. Jay Bruce hoping to be in the lineup tomorrow night, but his absence tonight let Alejandro De Aza have a chance, and De Aza had himself a huge night.
There's the faithful.
Final game of the year between the Mets and the Cardinals, unless they meet in October. 1-2 coming, and Piscotty just gets a piece of the curveball to keep the at-bat alive.
It's nice to see so many blue shirts here at the end. You never see that here.
Usually a different primary color.
Yeah.
1-2 coming, and Piscotty flies one to left center. Back goes De Aza onto the warning track at the wall, and it's out of here. Piscotty adds a home run, his 20th of the year, the Cardinals' 4th home run of the night, and it cuts the Met lead to 10-6.
If you weren't at this game and you were in downtown St. Louis with all the fireworks, you would think that your Cardinals are killing the Mets. But they inch a little closer. De Aza runs out of room.
Do you remember during the stretch drive in 2008 when the Mets bullpen was in shambles and their offense was just crushing it, and we talked about how they had to outscore their bullpen every night? This is turning into one of those games. Well, Jerry's Familia has gotten back up in the Mets bullpen with this now a 4-run game. Alberto Rosario up for the 3rd time. Last time up, he hit that ground ball to Flores that resulted in that stumbling play at first base. Well, Familia was up with a 4-run lead in the last inning. And then the Mets tacked on 2, and they went to Gilmartin, and now it's a 4-run lead again, so Familia's throwing again. Just one more out to get for Gilmartin. It's one way to stay cool.
He's got a head cramp.
Flores in front of it. This should do it, and the ball game is over. The Mets take the rubber game in St. Louis. Seth Lugo gets his first big league win with 5 scoreless innings. Alejandro De Aza drives in 5. And the Mets finish off a 5-5 road trip, now just 3.5 games behind the Cardinals for the 2nd wild card.
Well, played 2 good ball clubs on this trip with San Francisco and St. Louis, and to be able to chase down St. Louis and winning 2 out of 3 here was huge.
Well, considering